Huh? Oh yeah, I could do that actually. Yeah, on Instagram or something. Okay, what do you... Okay. There's better. Hmm. 16:55, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 9, 8. Yeah. Can I put what? What's that mean? It's gonna fall. Oh my god. That's the most I can do. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe your OBS is off?
My OBS mic is off, yep.
Too bad.
Allow me to go again. It is at 14 and 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. You're welcome.
I'll see if your camera on.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCK time for the wildcard. I'm Atlas. I am joined by LS for what could only be described as an extraordinarily auspicious day. LS, how are you?
I'm feeling really good about to go into this series. It's going to be T1 versus Afrika. I think the big question on a lot of people's minds is who's going to be starting in the mid lane today for T1, because this is the playoffs. Yeah. And what's really important for T1, not only is that they win today, but they move on. And what they're really chasing is obviously the LCK championship. But if they move on after this round and get third, I believe they're automatically secured into Worlds.
Yeah, if they get third place, then no one's going to be able to actually catch up when it comes to championship points, because of course they secured the 90 points and they only need the 70 that you get from third place to be unsurmountable. Insurmountable? Insurmountable. There we go. There's the correct word. These are the standings, guys. These are the ones that you are well aware of as of the ending of last week. Damwon will be waiting in the finals here of the playoffs. DRX right behind them. Gen G going to be the next boss for either T1 or Afrika, who are facing off in this best of 3 today. It's only a best of 3, guys. It could be an extraordinarily quick day, but we'll see whether T1's going to be able to continue finding success. Of course, they were able to topple DRX, but it was a 3-game series, and it was a very interesting one at that. So we'll just have to see what Afrika's going to be able to do against the T1 Titans.
Yeah, I feel like Afrika are really going to have their work cut out for them in this series. They're coming in as the heavy underdogs, and they've never really managed to put up any sort of a threat to any of the teams above them, even though they've decimated everyone on the eastern side. And now what we're looking at right now is obviously the playoff draw, and what every team is going to have to try to run through to eventually collide with Dom1 Gaming at the very end.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who's actually going to make it up there. I think there will be some conjecture when it comes to the middle of these playoffs. I think this game, most people will be assuming that T1 should be able to take it, but Afrika have been able to cause some upsets in the past, and especially in a best of 3 like this, you don't have that full test. We know throughout the regular season, you can just have teams that have bad days and aren't able to turn it around, even if there are close games. So Afrika could find themselves a surprise victory, and we'll see whether they can do so. I don't know, after their most recent performances, they just really haven't seemed like the consistent team that we saw maybe at the beginning of spring. Maybe it flashes throughout the summer split, but it hasn't necessarily been an Afrika powering up. It feels like they just don't really know what to do a lot of the time.
And I think that in tonight's series, depending on who's playing in the mid lane, things could actually get pretty chaotic. I feel like either one of T1's mid laners are probably just going to run a train on fly in mid, and I feel like the only way that Afrika is going to be able to get edges or maybe translate something into a victory is if Keen either really pops off or they have some sort of really wonky draft that gives them a really big edge and then they get advantages early, because otherwise I can't see them taking down T1.
Yeah, and also history can't really see them taking down T1 either. It's only 2 match victories against the team over the last 2 years. And yeah, this is looking good as far as statistics are concerned for T1. But like you say, there are differences when it comes to the mid lane. Things have been changed up, and Afrika will be hungry to try and get themselves through here. They do have another chance, of course, if they do make it to the World's Gauntlet, but I don't know whether you're going to, hedge your bets on being able to run a gauntlet once again. It's certainly feels like this is where you're going to make your run, and getting rid of T1 early is definitely going to be something Afrika wants to look to do. So let's have a look at the points of the match. 2017 summer, 2019 summer, and it's all about T1's miracle run versus no longer a gatekeeper. It's time for Afrika to keep others away from the trophy. And look, they managed to keep the bottom 5 away from the trophy. I just don't know whether the top 5 has been something they've ever been able to do.
Yeah, and I feel like the match, the points here really does put into good perspective what exactly is going to happen here. I mean, Kana also finished second, regular split, solo kill record. Will he continue to prove himself? Kana at a lot of points enters the argument for second best top laner, whereas I think he's really cemented himself, especially in the second half of the split, as probably the third best top laner in LCK. But when he turns it on, things can get really scary, and if Keen isn't able to add a lot of value to Afrika, it's just going to be really shaky. So I'm really expecting a lot of chaos to unfold on the top side of the map, less so on the bottom. As we take a look at the solo kill rankings.
Yeah, Marin, of course, still out in front with 31 solo kills, but Canna just behind him, only 3 behind him. When we actually saw these stats sort of throughout, I think it was about the middle towards halfway through the second round, it looked like Canna wasn't going to be able to make it anywhere near Marin because that 31 solo kill stat is just nutty. But he got pretty damn close, and you can see everybody else behind him by at least 5. So very impressive there for Canna. And as we can see, some stats about good old Gatekeeper Afrika with their 83.3% win rate against anyone below them and a 6.7% win rate against anyone above them.
And this is really the defining thing of Afrika, is they are truly the gatekeepers. I don't think there's any other region that really has a team quite like this one that is so consistent at losing to the teams above them and destroying everyone on the right side of the bracket, whereas in the LCK, we define it as the east side of the bracket and the west side. And obviously, Afrika have pretty consistently towed that line without ever really being able to cross it. So we'll see if they can finally break that streak here today, but T1 in playoffs, historically, something about the infrastructure of the team, the staff, whatever it is, they always historically do tend to turn it up and appear much better than they ever do during the regular season. So, team stats, we're taking a look at this. This is a little bit all over the place. It feels like the stats are pretty scattered. Average game time between both these teams, though, both of them do like to go the distance. They're only separated by 11 seconds.
Yeah, and I think this goes to show a bit of Afrika's craziness when it comes to how they play the game out. They also don't necessarily close games very effectively. But you can see win rate with a gold lead, definitely very, very good here for Afrika. So if they are able to actually be ahead at 20 minutes, look to see them actually be able to eventually finish out the game, even if it is not necessarily very fast. As we are going to have a look at some of the predictions. I think if it was anything other than a T1 win, then you'd be absolutely insane at this point in time. But the 2-1s going over to Cloud Templar with his big data. I don't know what big data necessarily means, but it makes me very happy. And I like how why are yours just latitude and longitude? What's going on there?
Launch lat, Atlas. What's the freakiest launch
why?
lat? Their launch lat is the gatekeepers of the LCK. It's the prime meridian line. All right?
Got it.
They're never able to cross into the west. They just can't do it.
God.
So T1's going to be asking them launch lat after the series tonight, I'm pretty sure.
That's perfect. I'm glad that you came up with something that you could write down that is recognizable both in Korean and in English. You did a very, very good job. Oh my god. Yeah. The good old Meridian line. I didn't know that we were going to be talking about that on this broadcast, otherwise I would have studied up a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. I need to read more Dan Brown, something like that. Looking forward to getting into this series, though. I think this is going to tell us a lot about T1's form moving on up, and I think against Gen G is going to be their first big test, assuming they're going to be able to win here, and this will tell us a lot about what's going to happen there, or whether it's going to be Afrika taking them on instead, if they're able to actually get that upset, which, ladies and gentlemen, it will definitely be an upset. There's no way anyone can expect Afrika to necessarily win this game.
Yeah, I feel like they're coming in, again, like I said earlier, heavy underdogs. I don't know how they're planning to prepare for this series, because it's only been a few days, actually, since the regular split has ended. It's not like there's a major difference, and there it is, the lineup for today. It will be Closer in the mid lane, and I actually feel like this is more problematic for Fly, given how Closer likes to play.
Yeah, he's definitely aggressive, and he also, in their first matchup, I believe, got a couple of solo kills up against Fly as well. It definitely wasn't exactly a mid matchup that Fly super enjoyed. And Closer retains a lot of his win rate, only falling to Showmaker so far as mid lane opponents. He was able to topple Chovy in both of the games that he played up against DRX. Unfortunately for Faker, wasn't actually able to do the same in game number 2. And I think that has a lot of impact on the reason that Closer is actually starting. He might need to change his name soon to Starter instead of Closer, because he's been starting a lot more.
Opener.
Yeah, maybe he can be Opener.
Well, he better not take it too literally. All of a sudden he starts opening mid lane and Riot starts issuing fines. I'm not sure
As long as his name isn't Runner, that would be good.
Yeah. Well, key player, obviously, between them two. In closer stats, remember, he doesn't have a whole lot of games, given when he did start playing for T1, he wasn't with them for the entirety of the split. So this is round 2. KDA, he's second. And solo kills, he's actually first. They're tied, actually.
Yeah, Fly's actually been
That's
picking up
pretty
a few extra ones. In the second half of the split, he's found himself some moments, and let's see whether this is going to be one of them. I'm going to be training my eyes a lot towards the bottom lane. I think Mystic has been very hit or miss in recent weeks, and I feel like his, mindset and the way that he plays can tell you a lot about how Afrika is going to do. So look to see whether, Mystic and Ben can actually play this one out effectively. Remember, there were crazy substitutions last time we saw Afrika, and we don't necessarily know how things are going to go. But here we are, into ban and pick for game number 1, T1 versus Afrika. They have switched colors, as T1 will be starting on the blue side. They did get side selection, and expect, ladies and gentlemen, that most teams that do have side selection available will be picking that blue side, as Renekton first ban, Lilia second ban, and the Orianna taken away from Fly, with Camille and Set and Nidalee taken off the board here by Afrika Freaks. Is Canna, let's see what he wants to lock away, whether that 80 carry priority is going to remain, as it theoretically is, with the Lucian Triflex coming in.
Yeah, this is going to be Lucian perhaps getting B1. Now, like you just mentioned, he is a Triflex. His buffs are very oppressive in pretty much every lane, but no, they're actually going to swap over to the Caitlyn. They're going to take that away from Mystic. And we'll see if Afrika just instantly responds with Ashe. That's obviously one of Mystic's premier champions that he has gravitated towards, even before it was super popular. And now Afrika, they're hovering the Nautilus. Not sure if they will lock it in. And again, I really feel like they're going to need some unorthodox ban pick here if they're going to find an edge against T1.
Well, they don't necessarily need to lock away the Ashe right now. They can take a priority jungler if they would like to, and Volibear is available with Nidalee, Set, and Lilia all banned. And so I wouldn't mind that pick, but Dread's just going to go straight into Graves. Okay, of course, you do have to change your mindset just a little bit when it is Dread playing as opposed to Spirit. He does like to get a little bit more aggressive. We'll see whether he goes the Smidignit that our friend Malrung did love so much when he won his first match ever. There's now Cuz thinking about taking away the Zoe here for closer. Definitely closer's most played by a long margin. But it looks like the Olaf might just come in instead, and he will lock that one away.
And with Olaf and Caitlyn, I mean, they're really setting up for lane control pretty much across the board. It looks like they wanted a little bit more time to decide on the Zoe before just electing to lock her in. And I think the Graves was coming in preemptively, almost as a means to dissuade T1 from going for the Volibear. Obviously, Graves does not have the best statistics here in the LCK. 5 wins out of 25 total games. Afrika, they're going to respond to the Zoe pick with a Twisted Fate.
And this is going to mean the bottom lane can get pinched by T1. They're not going to have to worry about an Ashe. They can ban yet another pick away from Mystic as well. I expect that Afrika do have something planned, but with Twisted Fate making it available until, third pick on the red side, they're just deciding that they need to lock that one away and see what Fly is going to be able to do with it, being able to get around this map and augment some of Dread's ganks potentially. Kalista going to be taken away first, and then, ladies and gentlemen, you would assume that Ashe will be banned. As Morgana taken off the board, might be yet another effort pick just taken away. I know Bard's been nerfed, but is certainly something that teams have still been gravitating towards. But we shall see. I do expect another support ban to come in though from Afrika, and it will be Bard.
Yeah. Bard getting banned away. Now, T1 banning the Kalista, it's a little bit surprising. I would have actually expected to just see Senna and Ashe banned away as the two premier counters.
Yeah.
Given that the support pick for Afrika is already locked in, and so you have counterpick support available to you, which means that you can really just gimp the bot lane of Afrika. So feels a little surprising. Wukong is going to be banned away, and I really don't know what these bans are designed to do, because top lane is still so wide open. And if Afrika picks Marksman on R4, okay, you counter bot lane, then you choose a stable blind pick top lane, and there is a lot still available. So
they need to pick Lucian. I think if they pick Lucian, they can flex it to Mystic if they don't like the top matchup. But it's going to be Misfortune instead. With Ashe available, Mystic's still going to this Misfortune. And I don't think the Ashe nerfs were necessarily bad enough to warrant completely stepping away from her. We saw it exemplified last week. But it will be the Misfortune this time around. They're just hoping that they'll be able to create enough disruption in order for her to actually be able to channel the bullet time. And let's see how it's going to work. As T1 thinking about Leona.
Leona being picked up. Gonna get locked in. Now T1, they need a blind top lane champion. Now, they could go Lucian and put all their eggs in the Zoe basket. That would definitely... Ooh, is that top Galio? No. That certainly would not.
Can't be happening. Top lane Caitlyn.
Well,
with Galio ADC.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so Lucian will be locked in here.
Yeah, and I think we were all expecting that, right? I don't think anyone's surprised by the Lucian being picked up here, but Keen must have a plan. They must have known that this was going to happen.
Malphite?
Oh, God, do it.
So I feel like the best R5 slam here is definitely Malphite. Alternatively, you could go for Scion or something of that nature, but it looks like Keen wants to try to fight fire with fire. And
this is dangerous.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. Afrika, with that Akali R5 lock-in, there is zero insurance policy on this team. And then on top of that, to make matters worse, their lanes are all losing in terms of control. And so Olaf, gonna be pretty enabled. And I don't know what Dread is realistically supposed to do. The one upside, though, is that with Twisted Fate being there, with Akali not really being on-hit-centric, etc., there's not a whole lot of reason to have Ninja Tab Eyes on the side of T1, so if Graves goes like pure lethality, he can definitely hit like a truck, but the amount of weight put onto Dread in this game is just, it's quite insane.
Yeah, this is a dangerous one, and actually, like, to go straight into playoffs and to use Dread, who's played like, what, 3 games or something in this summer season, like, it really has not had a lot of stage experience, and yes, the teams are playing from home, but I don't know whether that's enough to like put all of this pressure on him. And I think he's going to need to group up with Fly, especially, you know, after the Twisted Fate hits level 6 and does have that Destiny Gate available. It has to be both of them ganking, because I don't think that Graves is going to be able to do it by himself, especially in something like an Akali lane. And they have to be ganking that lane. There's no CC going into it unless Twisted Fate is there.
And I don't know what to feel for Afrika. This is the opposite of what I envisioned for a type of draft that they should have approached the T1 series with. And if you're T1, I think that you're feeling real good coming out of draft here in game number 1.
I don't know. Afrika has all of the pressure on them already. All of the pressure. T1 just needs to play a game of League of Legends, and then theoretically in the end they'll win. That's what it looks like to me. And I know it's weird saying that about an Olaf composition, but if Afrika just goes even, then Teddy's going to be gigantic. Closer's going to be able to find those picks that he's looking for. And Canna, I think this is one of the premier Lucian top games, unless something goes absolutely catastrophic in the early game and Keen's able to outplay him. But it's relying on outplay, and I don't think you should ever draft like that.
Yeah. Not really sure what Afrika's thinking. Perhaps what they're imagining on R5 is that, well, the way that the draft is lining up in mid, jungle, and bot lane, if Keen doesn't have some sort of heavy influencing pick, they might think that they just lose anyway, but Malphite can be pretty influencing in this kind of a game.
Yeah. Against
T1, but he didn't opt into it, didn't try to go for any sort of the tanks, and so we'll see what he can try to do here. But really, the ball is in Kanna's court. And if he's on his game, this should be really, really hard.
And already, Kanna has won that one game on Lucian, but it was a very, very convincing one. And we've seen the Lucian just find so much more popularity. Yes, there's been a whole bunch of buffs, but he's been played this whole season, right? For better or for worse. And so a lot of players have a lot of experience with this particular pick. And I'm frightened for Keen. But Keen has done crazy things in the past. This guy has let us down, but he's also made us believe in the past as well. And if Keen's feeling it, having a first win on the Akali top here in a matchup that can be very, very tough would definitely help with the Freakers momentum. So, look, sometimes you got to throw a gauntlet. Like, this is a haymaker draw. And if they win, it's going to say a lot for how the rest of this is going to go.
Yep. We'll see what is going to happen. It looks like Olaf is just going to go for the full clear. Keen already getting bullied. Now, one of the things I'm worried about, though, is Kana is doing the classic. The push 2 into do nothing. And so this wave's going to crash. No, Atlas. It's over.
Oh, that's a... I thought he was walking around the corner. Oh, I was waiting for the cheetah.
This is pretty good for Keen. He's going to feel pretty happy with this having happened. He's going to get poked a little bit on the cannon wave, but it's still a much better line that he ever could have hoped for, especially with his Graves having opted for the path that he did. You can see Olaf, I mean, he's full clear Philip right now, as he's finishing his golem camp. And with Teddy and Effort having the control down in bottom that they do, Cuz should be able to pick up the right side Scuttle Crab. And Kana just continuing to try to just keep Keen underneath the turret.
Yeah, we can see as well that Dread's trying to go for the full clear at the same time, but he is a camp behind, both of them going towards opposing Rift Scuttlers, as Keen is very, very close to dying. And he's not going to take that backflip. That is not one that you want. As this is absolutely what we expected, right? Dread's going to come in now, see whether he can actually affect something, as he will get tagged by the red buff. Minion wave comes in, but a little bit too late here, as Kanna's going to have to play around it. Does so quite nicely. Piercing Light comes in, and now Dread's finding the way through, but being Graves and fighting in a minion wave is just the most tilting thing ever.
Yeah. But I mean, he does what he came here to do. He gave Keen actually a free reset, and so this is a pretty big blunder. And we knew that this was a line that could end up happening based on how Kana played waves 2 and 3, and then chose to still stick around for wave 4, even though he wasn't accomplishing anything. And his Olaf on the other side of the map was full clearing, going to get bottom Scuttle Crab, and they must know that Graves is inevitably pathing to top lane. So even though he's still up in CS, this is not the ideal line that Kana would have envisioned for himself.
No, absolutely not. He's going to go home. He'll head back up with a 7 CS advantage. Both top laners teleporting back up there. But we've got double cloth armor now, and the closer Keen gets to that Seeker's Arm Guard, the happier he's going to be. And Ben finds a bit of damage there onto Effort, who just eclipses most of it. And he will be fine. Kanna with the double Doran's Blade. Exactly what we were expecting, trying to dominate this lane as much as he possibly can. But now if a gank comes in, of course, Kanna didn't use his flash, so he's not exactly worried about a gank too much. But if a gank is successful now, that's when this lane can go absolutely haywire.
Yeah. And, I mean, what's happening here at this point is bottom lane is slow pushing back into Leona and Caitlyn, and Olaf is lined up really well to actually get a gank off. And this is a very damning timing for Afrika, because Misfortune doesn't have teleport. So if Olaf comes down into bottom and actually gets a successful gank off, it doesn't even necessarily need to kill Mystic and Ben. This wave can indefinitely freeze him. This is the timing for it. And look at Graves. He's ending up on the opposite side of the map. And I am really surprised that Olaf doesn't just actually run into the lane, because even making MF and Nautilus back off here and just miss the entire cannon wave is a massive victory. But T1 shoving, and I'm scratching my head, Atlas.
Yeah, they're shoving, and they just saw the Graves, and instead Cuz is like, nah, I need a Cloud Drake. So he's going to go for that one. Great double up there from Mystic. As it's so strange that Mystic has gone for the Misfortune into our last remaining Misfortune player in Teddy. I don't know whether that actually means anything. Of course, we did once upon a time have everyone playing Misfortune, but Teddy was the last one that really was picking it these last couple of patches. As Keen now feels like he can actually play up in this lane. Kanna, understanding that his jungle is on the opposite side of the map, everyone knows that because everyone just got informed. So he's not able to actually play as aggressively as he would like. As you can see, the gold completely even at this stage. As Canna, the all-in comes through from Keen. He will pick up a turret shot, but Canna can't enter the lane again. As now the Destiny comes forward. Dread's here as well. They're waiting for the minion wave as Closer teleports in. They're going to trade an ultimate for a teleport, so already it's a win for Afrika.
Yeah, I mean, right now, at this point in time, Afrika is... Well...
Fly?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. What is going on here?
As there's the culling. Flash has to come out.
Red Smite picked up.
Absolutely confused about what was going on here as Dread down very, very low. First Blood will come through for the Olaf now as Keen getting chased down. Fly will eventually come back, but Keen gets into the Shroud and will be able to flash himself out. But that was a brain fade from Afrika, if ever I've seen one.
Yeah, Afrika seemed really lost on what they wanted to do right there, and Closer and Cuz just able to help salvage that situation, and now maybe even a cannon minion's actually just going to go into the void here. Keen's going to miss out on. He picks up the Seeker's Arm Guard, but Lucian's going to have a much stronger recall after all of this is said and done, and this is not the kind of situation that Afrika wanted to have happen off of the spot that they were just in a moment ago, because Keen, he was only down 7-8 CS in the Akali-Lucian matchup. He was in a really comfortable spot, all things considered, and they just blundered really hard.
Yeah. And also, if they had have just walked away after they got that teleport out of Closer, that's still a win.
Yep.
100%. Trading teleport for ultimate, you'll always take that. But they were a little bit too aggressive. They were never going to be able to 3v2 dive anyway, so I just don't know why they were just hanging around.
I'm not totally sure what the thought process was. Off the reset, Lucian does get the Hex Drinker, and it does have quite a lot of value against Nautilus, TF, and Akali. So definitely not the worst purchase that he could go for. Graves is falling pretty far behind Olaf. And down here in bottom lane, I mean, T1, they almost have their second plate captured. Ocean Dragons coming up second.
It's not the worst news bottom lane, though, because Mystic is ahead by a little bit of farm as these waves do reset. And yes, they've been getting pressured in the lane, but being able to get some other work done is definitely working out here as, yeah, in goes Fly, and then just watch him wait in the brush. I don't really understand what the thought process was.
Because they knew that Cuz was coming because they just used Destiny Gate. So I don't know what he's doing. I also don't know why he didn't just try to flash and then go for the Blast Plant, because if Olaf has Ragnarok active, he actually doesn't follow regardless. And then you would just leave Dread to his own devices to try to get out. But as played, just very sloppy execution. It seemed like no one knew what each other wanted to do there. And so T1, they find themselves with an advantage at the very start of this all.
Yep. That's what we were expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to go quite like that. There's Keen up here trying to deny this last plate, or at least this second plate, as the culling is going to tag him. Keen will survive for the minute. I believe the plate was picked up.
Yeah, I believe the plate was indeed consumed. We can see that it was 3. Lucian was certainly in proximity.
Yep.
To end up getting that. You can see Keen almost back to about 60% HP. So Lucian definitely not going to have lethal anymore with the mana that he has available right now. And you can see Dread is around here, maybe wanting to plop down this Rift Herald. Destiny is available on Fly, so perhaps they'll try to go for some sort of a shove, but Dread just looking lost yet again.
Yeah,
and again,
I think if he had to just plop down Shelly, it could have been fine just to add a bit of extra pressure as Destiny comes in. They're going to try it again. Fly's going to turn up behind the turret. They have the minion wave this time as they're looking for the stun onto Canna. He's got no mana, and I have a feeling he's just dead. Fly's going to grab that kill, and if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yep. They get a kill onto him. It does come at the cost of an entire minion wave in mid, and you can see Ben rotating here. T1's not going to get a turret plate. If they did, the gold and the EXP from the minion wave plus the turret plate would almost actually neutralize the Lucian death, because Kana got the whole wave prior to dying. So it's not like he was missing out on too much. So all of these things, they do sort of have to be juggled in. Ocean Dragon's live right now, but this gets real scary for Afrika. Nice cancel by Ben.
Yeah, Ben is going to get the flash, and so gets the blast cone out. Fly going to dodge some undertows here as T1 are prioritizing the Ocean Drake more than anything else here this game. Graves doesn't have very much longer on this Rift Herald, as I believe Afrika will give this one up. And Dread needs to put this Herald down. It's just so surprising that he didn't chuck it top lane, as I feel like getting Keen ahead is going to be a huge priority here for this team. As Bubble's going to connect, but well-placed minion wave there for Fly. It's going to mean that at least that extra damage is not going to be procced, despite getting hit by that next bubble as Dread comes on over. I believe understood exactly where Canna was. He's going back now. Now he's going to hop in. He needs to use this Rift Herald.
I have absolutely no idea what it is that Dread is. Dread, he should probably try to recall. Watch the axe accidentally just... No, okay, it's not even...
Yeah, right.
Okay. All right.
Hops on over. There's the Rift Herald. So finally, he's at least utilized that one. It was about to run out. So we did see one expire just the other day, so I was a little bit worried. Let's see whether Shelly can actually get some damage here, as she's already had her eye poked out. They don't get a charge. This is an absolute disaster. Backflip comes through, and Shelly is going to charge on down. Give a couple of plates over to Keen and to Dread. So, all right, no harm, no foul.
Well, gold score almost evened up here between these two teams. And Kana is actually down in EXP to Keen right now, which obviously is not a comfortable position to be in.
Yep, definitely so far.
The Lucian not getting the kind of advantages that he should have been able to secure for himself, and Teddy and Effort at this point trying to get whatever advantages they can get down there in bottom lane, but not really coming up with anything. And honestly, this early mid transition.
아니 용감 나면 줘야 돼.
여기 아무도 없어 아무도 없어.
Have a listen.
가볼게. 조이 멀다.
허공이야 너거. 왜 앞으로 간다 얘.
야 라인 지운다 이거. 그냥 줄 생각하는 거예요. 나이스.
이거 미드 피 좀 까야겠다.
탑에 전령 깔래 이거.
All right.
When we come back into live here, T1 now with 2 dragons, Mountain coming up next. And that's a pretty big dragon for them, given that a couple of their champions will get resistances. Obviously Olaf, Leona. Lucian already has the Hex Drinker. He's probably going to end up picking up Merc Treads as well, I would imagine.
Yep, definitely very valuable against the double AP over the side of Afrika.
And he's actually going for the Blade of the Ruin King build here on Lucian, which I actually find to be really surprising. We saw in the LEC, the Muramana Essence Reaver build used by Fnatic.
Yep.
It scales a lot better than the Blade of the Ruin King. And in solo queue, if you try it, your teammates are probably going to grief you, because the Muramana needs a lot of time to stack up. It needs to transition. Whereas Blade of the Ruin King, it's very oppressive in laning phase, with all the lifesteal, the Bilgewater Cutlass active, the Blade of the Ruin King active, and etc. But if you can get the Muramana and the crit Lucian, you end up transitioning a lot better. And it's surprising to me that Kana, who already had a stunted build, is then re-pivoting back into what would just be an early game item.
Yeah. Maybe valuing sustain in a side lane or something like that, but actually you'd never want to do that against an Akali. She's either killing you or she's not, and so you may as well try and kill her right back. Sort of the way I think about it. Already had the Hex Drinker there for a little bit of added safety. But we'll see what Kanna's going to be able to do as we get towards a bit more of a mid-game transition here at 15 minutes into the game. A few plates went over to both sides, but as you can see, turret apiece, as we had a couple of those lane swaps, and bot lane was taken by Afrika, top lane by T1. And as it stands, it is a very small gold advantage going over to T1 at this stage of the game.
And 50 seconds until that Mountain Dragon's going to come up. I'm not sure if Kana... Now, he does have double Doran's Blade in his inventory. And so he does have the ability to sell some items to get some gold. He's really close to that Blade of the Ruin King, and it would be pretty big for the Mountain Dragon fight.
Yeah,
but it seems like he doesn't have it even after that wave.
Yeah, both him and Keen looking for that pivotal item completion, and both of them being made out of Bilgewater Cutlass, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, Hextech Gunblade, Akali's favorite item in the universe. Thankfully, that didn't change after she had her rework. Meant that we didn't have to relearn exactly what Akali liked. But is just so important for her to get. As Shirley pops down in the mid lane. This time in favor of T1 is Dread going to get chunked. Mystic going to tank up the ace in the hole. That is a decent amount of damage now on a couple of the squishy members of Afrika. Now Ben, he's going to go to sleep as he engages. Depth charge comes in, but he does have a stopwatch. Fly in to try and help them out, but you can see that Cuz is taking a lot of damage. Fly now going to get turned on as Closer goes back to his portal. And now Fly's going to have to go back. Dread doesn't have ultimate. Keen doesn't have teleport, and this should be a dragon going over to T1, and that's Soul Point as well.
That is going to bring this to Soul Point. I think there's no way Afrika's gonna, there's no hope to steal this. Fly is not going to teleport behind them. That would be completely ludicrous to attempt that. And this is so scary because now the pressure's on for Afrika. They must get the next dragon. But unfortunately for them, a lot of their champions are going to be pretty much the same champions. If Keen starts moving towards Azania's Hourglass at this point, picks up the Fiendish Codex, gets the stopwatch or something, he basically has the same item throughout. It's not like he's actually getting a whole lot of other power. Graves is going to complete into one lethality item. Twisted Fate's going to have his Lichbane available. That's going to be a nice little spike for him. But for the most part, Afrika's power level at the next dragon should be assumed to be roughly the same that it was at right now. Whereas there's a lot of power coming for the side of T1 in terms of their utility. And that just is a pretty nightmare situation for
I think
Afrika.
the one difference is the Misfortune most likely getting towards an Infinity Edge by that time, so Mystic's going to do a lot more damage. As this was actually a decent attempt by Ben. I thought that was all over after that bubble landed and he decided to dredge line in. But he tried to help that one out, but then standing on the trap by Fly was a disaster. And that was what led to T1 being able to control everything.
Well, we come back down here into bottom lane. Keen's just going to try to shove in waves, do whatever he can. You see a Black Cleaver on Graves, so... That's a thing. And what I would like to direct your attention to, Atlas, is all of the armor on the side of T1.
Yeah, there's a chain vest.
Graves' AP teammates.
You see the chain vest and the ninja tabi and the cloth armor. You need to get through it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't. I mean, lost sight over here.
I really do wonder, actually, if Dread is anticipating the opponents to get Mountain Soul, and that's his reasoning for picking up the Black Cleaver, given that they're going to have 12% amplified armor. But
that
realistically, I mean...
It's not really going to help, but that could be the thinking.
That could be it.
I can understand the theory, you know? But, like, there are a lot of things that are good in theory, but not actually good, you know?
Boris is definitely here. He's unleashed.
Yeah. He often is.
2.5 minutes.
He's not affecting Fly too much. Fly with his Lichbane already completed. Let's see what he's going to go for. Item number 3 might just be the Zhonya's, as he does have to deal with a lot of physical damage this game. And also being able to stopwatch the bubble, definitely a good move. As Closer is in a side lane at the moment. You can see Fly, he's going back home. We'll see what he's actually able to pick up. That Rod of Ages is stacked now. Or at least will be when he's back on the Rift.
Yeah. And Caitlyn, really close to the Infinity Edge. We would assume that Fly or Mystic is as well. They are very, very close in the CS department, and Afrika does have a couple more turrets, so even though Misfortune doesn't have the BF sword, the gold at the inventory, it probably is there. So, Closer right now just playing ping pong with the waves.
Yeah, gets the cannon quite nicely. Jonah Strong is somewhere, smiling to himself. As another ace in the hole comes in. Good sidestep there from Mystic as Ben finds a dredge line onto the Olaf. The cannon's going to jump in, and that is a very dead Nautilus. Fly jumps down, but Ragnarok's going to die. Everything is Teddy. That was a very weird move. Flashing on forward, trying to get the extra headshot, but isn't actually able to complete the kill onto Mystic. He's out of the fight, however, as there's collateral damage, not enough to get rid of Effort. I believe just out of range. As I believe that was the play that Deft was going for in the 1v1 that we saw him in a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. And this time Teddy was able to actually make it work. The trying to get that extra damage just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, and I mean, this fight is pretty interesting because you get the Flash and the Cleanse out of the Misfortune, as well as the Ignite out of the Nautilus. And yes, it comes at the expense of some of the summoners on the side of T1, but T1 is the slow-moving Ballista. That's what their team composition is, and they're way less reliant on Flash and repositioning compared to Afrika. And so, for these summoners to be down at Mountain Soul is pretty scary.
Yeah. Ben at least has his Flash back available again, so he's not likely to get caught out like that, but you're right, Mystic not having his summoner spells is just really, really sad for Afrika, who have managed to at least get into position for this Drake. This fly comes over. Ragnarok available again on the Olaf. They don't really want to focus him as he's very tanky, but does pop the Ragnarok there. And Ben's just going to tank up an ace in the hole that he really didn't want to. Especially without the Aftershock as Bubble comes down. Keen in flank position now.
Yeah.
As Afrika, they are going to start this one up, and let's see whether they can actually take it down before T1 gets in here. Shuriken backflip, not going to allow Keen in as the Bubble is going to miss. And it is going to be the Drake, secured by Afrika. T1 just a little bit slow, weren't able to stop that one from happening. But I don't think they're in too much of a rush as the Bubble connects onto Mystic, but unable to actually get any paddle stars there. As Keen wants to actually find Canna here, but just going to take a lot of poke damage. Oh no, Fly. A little bit of sloppy footwork there as, Keen into his Shroud, into the brush. Dread able to get away from Closer, and now T1 are trying to jump in. Flash comes out. Fly steps back forward, now has to flash out. Zenith Blade going to connect. There's the ultimate out of Keen. He wants to try and get Closer. They do manage to find him as Bullet Time gets so much value. And now Fly's going to jump on forward. Wildcards doing a lot of work here as well. Dread is going to get a double kill before he falls down. But now Cuz is the last man standing. I don't know how they did it, but Afrika have destroyed T1 in this team fight. And now Keen's hopping mad and will be able to help complete the ace.
And Keen, he's going to end up recalling right now, probably teleport back in to get the Baron away from T1. Let's take a look at how it all transpired. Taking a look at a replay from a little while ago.
Yeah, we went back in time a little bit there.
And you can see Teddy trying to get the animation cancels off onto Mystic to get that damage down. But even if he ends up killing Mystic there, it doesn't change that Mystic would be there for the Dragon fight. We take a look at how this transpires. Teddy eventually gets into range, he gets the slow off onto the Twisted Fate. Keen flashes out of the ultimate. Kana was being very reserved with the culling. Bubble lands onto Nautilus, but he got away. Keen gets in there, does so much damage with his ultimate, Fly's able to reposition with Destiny Gate, throws the gold card and the wild card, tags Teddy, graves the ricochet off the wall. And Afrika end up managing to outdance T1 here. And now with the Baron, things get scary.
They really do. And Baron buff at 24 minutes is no joke as well. It's going to be hard for T1 to be able to get through these waves. As let's see what the power play is going to look like at the end of this one, because already it's a 4,000 gold lead for Afrika. And I'm just really impressed by how they managed to actually make that fight work, because their composition isn't very good at all of these all-ins, right? And Ben tanks all of that damage, all of that CC, manages to escape, and then the bullet time positioning was outstanding from Mystic. And remember, he was a Misfortune without any summoner spells. It's really hard for him to be able to actually be useful with that ultimate, because he has to stand still. He has to make sure that he's very safe, and they just bided their time. Very impressive out of Afrika, and it took a lot of patience to be able to make that one work as effectively as it did. Looking to the future, though, I mean, T1 still have the comp that they have, right? And we'll see whether they are going to make it work as this game continues to go on. It is by no means over yet.
I feel like the really scary thing, if you're a T1 fan and you're watching this right now, is Boris's children are being paid through college. You take a look at Lucian. He's going into Black Cleaver as his next item. And Zoe picked up an Oblivion Orb, even though there was already magic resistance on the enemy team. They're probably going to start picking it up eventually for Zoe, or they're going to get utility items or more Mountain Drakes, etc. So Closer a little bit all over the place with his itemization as well. His inventory is a little bit stuck. Fiendish Codex, Seeker's Arm Guard, and the Oblivion Orb. Caitlyn's at 3 items, but I really feel like as this game continues to go on, Teddy's the only driving force. Olaf, he's going to be the same champion right now at 26 minutes that he's going to be at 37 minutes. He's never changing at this point. And all of his camps are essentially his teammates if they're ever in position to get them. And all of a sudden, Afrika, 6,000 gold lead. It shouldn't have happened like this. This should have been an easy soul point game for T1, but they just really botched the ball in mid-game.
And now with 23 seconds until the Baron buff wears out, it should be Afrika putting enough pressure in all of these lanes to guarantee themselves this second Mountain Drake that they can pick up. And that's only going to continue to make this game more difficult for T1, because Mountain Drakes, I think, have similar value for both sides, right? There are a lot of squishies on both sides of the rift, but, you know, Nautilus is going to be much harder to get through. Even Graves with his passive is far more tanky than a lot of people give him credit for. And so the Mountain Drakes are going to be helpful, plus double Zhonya's certainly helping out there. Dread does have his Ghost Blade completed, as well as now the Black Cleaver that we were mentioning before is Keen. Gets his Gunblade down onto Cuz. Decent amount of damage there, as there's the ace in the hole. Teleport to come forward from Canna. All 5 members grouped.
This is the really tragic thing here, though.
Right,
oh, man.
Dredge line. Ben's going to disengage. Oh, my God. Okay, we're going for the full Messiah play effort. Does go into his Gargoyle Stoneplate. Mystic going to cancel the bullet time just a little bit early. Ben going to survive for the moment, is now Keen inside the Shroud. Gets the ulti, gets the double right into the backline as now Canna has been singled out. And Afrika have been so good at this so far this game. They make these fights so chaotic and they come out ahead. Another max range Dreadline as Ben is on form today. My God, starting off these fights, making everything work. It looked crazy at the beginning. But look, you can't fault him if it works.
And I think T1, I think they just lose the game here. Effort's up in 10 seconds, but I don't think Teddy is going to be able to hang on. Cuz is up in 10 as well. We'll see what Teddy can do. He doesn't have the wave clear. Lichbane on Twisted Fate. I just think that Afrika just took game 1.
Yeah, I think this is over. They've got enough damage to take down this Nexus easily as Ben finds another Dredge line. Teddy goes down just before the end, and Afrika steal away game 1.
I do not know what just happened, Atlas. That was... There's a lot I want to say about it, but it's more so saved for like a VOD review or something. The laning phases for T1 weren't stellar, but they still got 2-3 Drakes. They had what should have been a pretty free soul capture if they just were in position in time. And then they chased a little bit too far. They were way too reserved at that fight. Came back to bite them. Opponents got Baron, and snap of the fingers, everything just went up in flames for T1. And remember, this is a best of 3. So T1 might just get knocked out right now and then have to go through the gauntlet.
And remember, they lost on blue side as well. I mean, blue side, even on this patch, has had a very high win rate. So this really should have been their game. We thought after the draft that it was going to look very good for T1 as well, but just unable to get that snowball. And I just can't get that one Dragon Soul fight out of my head where it felt like T1 had the upper hand, and then it all went wrong. I mean, all of the pieces were in place for T1, and then the execution just wasn't quite there. And that's not the T1 that we've been used to in 2020, right? We've actually been used to T1 not necessarily having all of the pieces in order. Their drafts have looked a little bit wonky, but it hasn't mattered because they've just been so good when it comes to late game team fighting that this was not an example of that. This was a whoopsie on Afrika's side. This is why we thought T1 had the game basically in the bag, but I mean, just wasn't enough.
Afrika made quite a few botched plays, but again, T1 wasn't as far ahead as they should have been out the gate in laning phase. But to go back again, they were still at 3 dragons. They were in a very good spot. They had Summoner Spell advantage at Soul Point, and they botched everything all of a sudden in mid lane. And it's games like these that make you sort of scratch your head and wonder, well, what is really going on? Why are they prioritizing some of the things that they are? Or why are they late to the fight? And in a very bizarre turn of events, Afrika end up out-dancing T1 in the long game.
Very impressive. This was the bullet time. Really, really nice stuff. And then with the low health bars, with the amount of damage Afrika had, they were able to chase forward. I think this is an example of the power of Twisted Fate and Akali at the moment. We've seen both of these champions be very, very strong, but I just didn't think that the laning phase was going to be enough. As we've got Keen dancing around this fight. Let's see how he manages to get these two executes.
나 괜찮아 이거.
Says it's
우리
okay,
되게
it's okay,
가깝다,
this is
이거.
okay.
얘가 갈렸어.
야, 루시안 올라. 루시안 얘들아 루시안.
연막 깔아줄게 연막.
루시안 높을.
Pushing
야
the flag.
조심해라.
아파라. 야 이거 펴. 나이스. 야 조이 봐봐. 못 봐줘 나 못 봐줘.
야 조냐다.
필.
용 갈래? 용 갈래 얘들아?
잡았어.
케이틀 있을 거야 케이틀.
밀자 미드 밀자.
케이틀 여기 있어.
노플 내가 플래시 큐가든. 노플이거든 노플.
Saying,
이번엔
no flash, just push. Let's just push mid.
야 해볼래? 해볼만한데? 해볼만해.
Let's try it, let's try it,
아
let's try it.
해볼만해 얘들아.
Let's try this, guys.
캐틀 노스페이
Caitlyn, no flash, Caitlyn, no flash.
타워.
야 끌어줄게 터치면 돼 나이스 됐다 와 좋았다 아 김기
Wow.
Well, the upsets have started already here for the LCK playoffs. Absolutely amazing performance out of Afrika. I want to shout out Mystic as well. I mentioned at the beginning that he hasn't looked very consistent over the last few games. This was absolutely fine when it comes to consistency. He was able to lane it out just fine against the Caitlyn, was then able to do the majority of the damage in these team fights. And as you saw, T1 had an advantage for the entire early game. It wasn't huge, but they definitely were able to build that one up, but maybe just not by enough to get their comp over the line. I don't know, man. I think that Keen was absolutely amazing that game. I think that Fly, although it was very interesting, had some good ultis, but let's see what happens for game number 2. These playoffs just got very, very interesting with Afrika up 1-0. Let's see what happens in game 2 after the break.
신성한 빛이 내 안에 가득합니다. 태양의 신성한 힘으로 어둠에 맞서 싸우리라. 황혼이 진다. 달의 축복이 널 보호한다. 햇빛 따위에 눈도 깜빡 안 했다.
창조물 경외하라. 순수한 별의 불씨다. 내가 별의 창조자다.
이런 영롱함은 처음이겠군요. 생명을 섬겨라. 아름다움을 수호하고 모든 생명을 지켜내리라. 제가 바로 타곤산의 수호자입니다.
내 왕개팔들이야. 모드램으로 만들어줘. 불만 있어? 쾅쾅쾅. 세상을 암흑으로 덮어주마.
깽깽이발이 더 빨라. 맛 좀 봐라. 기억되게 한다. 크게 이대로 한번 해.
You never know what will happen at Worlds.
The stage is set, the curtain is drawn.
没人能够预见会是这种情况。
This is the key people want to see.
新的王者诞生了
Kaboom! They've lit the fuse.
你看到了吗
They're gonna win. This is it.
That's a whoopsie. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I had myself muted just to make sure that you guys couldn't hear any weird stuff in the background during the pause. Sorry, not during the pause, during the break. I'm a little bit flustered now, but welcome back. It is time for game number 2 between T1 and Afrika. Afrika are leading, and that might be why I'm flustered, because I don't think anyone was expecting Afrika to be able to take any games at all. If they were going to take a game, it's probably going to be game 1, as Mystic is going to pick up player of the game. 3-0-7 on the Misfortune. I don't have anything against this, although I thought that Ben had a phenomenal game as well as Keen. But it was a team effort here for Afrika.
Yeah, I mean, Mystic and Keen were doing so much inside of the team fights for Afrika this game. Keen drawing a lot of aggro at different points, but the amount of damage able to be dealt by both of them. Ben also having a really phenomenal series. I mean, here, Keen really just putting the team on his back inside of this fight. Mystic eventually able to chase down Kana there. Kana not able to get away, get out of the line of sight. Closer getting tagged. Tries to Zanya's, but he knows that he's doomed at that point.
And actually,
that was it.
Whoa, okay. So some very interesting votes. 3 out of 9 actually going over to Mystic. But I believe the tie was broken because there were just too many different votes. There were a couple there for Fly. There was a couple there for Keen and a couple for Ben as well. So you can see the players who were definitely playing well in that series. I think our votes for Fly were very weird. But here we go, guys. Faker is coming in once again. So the T1 playoff dream is now directly on Faker's shoulders. 100%.
Well, I feel like last game was probably the worst mechanical and lane phase performance that Closer had played. And I do wonder if maybe the weight of playoffs gets to him in some way, because he wasn't looking like his overly eager, aggressive self that he has looked like in so many of the series before. He seemed a lot more reserved, a lot more cautious, and now Faker's coming in, and we'll have to see what this means for T1. They're still going to be on the blue side, and let's see if he can lead them to victory.
And remember, Faker has been in this position so countless times over his career. You don't get 3 championships without having to come out clutch in at least 100 different instances. I swear, this guy is just very, very good at keeping cool at these points, and it's do or die right now. Like, T1, they can relax after they've locked in third, because as soon as they lock in third, they're definitely going to Worlds, right? But they can't relax yet. Absolutely not. And this isn't even the biggest test. Gen G have looked much better coming towards the end of the season. And T1 will need to keep their wits about them. But once again, back on the blue side, it's going to be the Graves and Lilia bans here, as Afrika's roster has not changed. It's not like Spirit's coming in or anything like that. See what the final ban is Caitlyn taken off the board, and they are going to priority pick something else on their side. As there goes the Akali. I actually really like the Akali ban, because I expected T1 to put a little bit more priority on that one.
I am very surprised by the Caitlyn ban. That strikes me as interesting, but T1 now going to hover the MF. Nope, they're going to go over to Electric Bear. Now moving over to Twisted Fate.
I think Twisted Fate first pick is very smart here. Fly had a good game, but it's Faker, remember? If Faker has all of that playmaking capability, that only makes things better, as Renekton Nidalee is going to be available here for Afrika if they want to lock it in. And, you know, say what you will about the handbag of the top lane, him and the kitty cat definitely do a lot of work together.
See if he does get picked up for Afrika. He will be locked in. So it's going to be a blind top lane. We'll see how Kana elects to respond to this. Nautilus will locked in once again for Ben.
Okay. I wouldn't mind Ashe, just so that T1 can absolutely dominate the Vision game. Because, of course, Hawkshot plus Destiny means you basically know everything that's going on the map at all times. But instead, it looks like mid-game's going to be a bit more of a focus here, as Volibear has certainly stepped out of the priority list in this particular series. We saw, even though it was 10-16, he did get a bit of a hit. He was still going to be prioritized. And now Cuz is going to be able to lock that one in, followed by the Callista here for Teddy. Mid-game all the way for T1. As Afrika, we'll see what they're going to lock in themselves. Could just be the Ashe for Mystic. I'd be happy with that. Ashe versus Kalista, pretty good. But Nidalee, I wanted this second pick, but they get away with it, and they're able to lock it down in the third one. So a very, very powerful top duo here for Afrika.
Yeah. We'll see how they elect to transition into the ban phase here. They might just target Kalista-friendly supports. Maybe Taric even gets removed from the table. So I'm interested to see how they're going to try to approach this.
Yep, a few different options. I think Leona could be taken away from effort as well, just for comfort's sake. And we have seen Leona Kalista utilized quite effectively by some other teams. But it is going to be the Camille, and I think that Afrika can very comfortably focus the top lane and give Keen the best matchup possible. I think a Lucian ban could come in here if they would like to, but maybe they don't even need to. As I believe Lucian and Jace are pretty similar when it comes to just the amount of power that they have over Renekton with their range advantage and burst damage and things like that. And so they're just going to let both of them through and ban away the Alistar from effort, not allowing all of that playmaking. Of course, if it was Marta still on the roster, you could absolutely understand the cow ban, but it's effort this time around, and Ashe is going to be taken away from Mystic. Now he has to look a little bit deeper into that champion pool for what he's going to play next.
Well,
or is it just going to be a Zoe lock-in?
I mean,
could happen.
I would love to see actual true Kalista counters come out here in the LCK, but I just don't expect it out of Mystic. I don't think that Draven... Okay, Aphelios is interesting. Yeah, what time is it? What year is it, actually, is more so the question
Are we AD
here.
or are we BC, LS? That's what we need to know. As you guys can check out that new LCK Global video that's all about the 200 years. Very, very well put together, I might add. Your good friend Dimitri doing that one for us. Absolutely beautiful. As Gragas to be locked in, I expect this to be support. This is now effort. Let's see what he's going to take away for Canna.
Well,
and there's the Jace we were talking about.
Save the date, Atlas. December 11th, 1819.
Yep.
Was when Aphelios ended up being made. We'll see. T1, there's Gragas coming out. And I don't know if that's top lane Gragas against Renekton as a means to neutralize him.
No, it's definitely a top lane Jace. As that's the Aurelion Soul. Fly is bringing out one of his favorites here for this one. We've got dragons and crocodiles. Oh my god. It's such a reptilian draft in the solo lanes. Then, the 200 Years Classic bottom lane that Afrika did find a lot of success with at the beginning of the season. And then the classic top lane with the Nidalee support. This is a cool draft out of Afrika. I actually really like it because you get to use the E out of Aurelion Soul to follow the Twisted Fate. Yes, you get there a little bit later, but he's still able to make his way over there relatively quickly.
So I'm not totally sure on what has really changed inside of the matchup, but the old Aurelion Soul Twisted Fate matchup, Twisted Fate along with Kassadin were considered Aurelion Soul's biggest counters inside of laning phase. So I'm really curious to see how this matchup's going to play out. How does the W nerf affect Twisted Fate, as well as the mini rework that Aurelion Soul did end up getting? But all around, I mean, T1's team composition, it peaks in high school. It is going to 2 items, and then after that, it's all downhill from there. Aphelios, Aurelion Soul, Nidalee, all of these champions just go so much further of a distance than any of T1's, and that's not a very good feeling when you know that T1 often struggles to end early and mid.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Aurelion Soul does as well. You mentioned that things have changed just a little bit, and one of the reasons YTF was so good against him was because of pick a card. And so with that nerf, maybe that's why Fly feels a little bit more comfortable, and oh my god, he's gone full YOLO. We've got the Electrocute Ignite coming through for the Aurelion Soul. He wants to kill Faker.
Well, Faker is going to have Spellbook with Teleport on the Twisted Fate in mid lane, both going for the Corrupting Potion. Meanwhile, up in top lane, the Jace versus the Renekton is going to be interesting. Cuz is going to have a lot of very easy gank setups, though, in mid lane, given that Fly does not have Cleanse. So I'm very curious how they're going to play this, and then also because of AP mid, AP jungle, Faker gets a lot of value out of early Merc Tread Rush, which I imagine he's going to go here.
Yeah, and also Twisted Fate loves buying boots first, so it's not going to hinder his build whatsoever.
Yeah, and I feel like this game is going to boil down to yet again another soul point game for T1, and can they race the clock this time around better?
Well, we'll just have to see. We'll see whether Afrika can get a little bit more priority in this early game. I expect Dread to spend a lot of time on the top side of the map. I like that he's on another aggressive pick. This is definitely in his wheelhouse. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Fly can do on a champion that was definitely a favorite of his for a very long time. Okay. Keen versus Canner up here. This is expected to go well for the Jace until theoretically it doesn't after a gank or two. Comes down, culls the Meek. And it'll be fine.
One, not a big deal.
Yeah, it's okay. Not the end of the world.
And we'll see what ends up happening here. Teddy and effort on the Callista Gragas. It's been a while since we've seen Aphelios, and so you also have to wonder if people have forgotten how to work against him.
Yep, and we'll also see how much Mystic's been playing him since the nerfs as well, whether he's going to be able to mitigate that and understand how to play with a champion that doesn't necessarily work as insanely as he used to. You can see Teddy very comfortable on the Callisto. Always has been. Yeah, he's always just been able to find way more farm on Callisto than anybody else. But Mystic's played a lot of it this season as well, as you can see. Mystic's played a lot of Aphelios also, although the win rate doesn't necessarily show that 200 years has been on his side. It's been a rough 200 years, as it turns out.
I mean, the camera keeps panning up to top lane, and Keen is winning the matchup. Again, it was Kana push to do nothing, the classic, into actually losing more minions on the first two waves, and now getting zoned out of the cannon. And Keen is in control of the Renekton Jace matchup. That's just a nightmare.
Well, it's been a long time since we had the Aurelion Soul, and last time it was Yukal. I was half expecting it to have been Fly last time we saw it, as it's him and BDD that are our resident dragons. The Aurelion Soul variety of the dragon, not the Shyvana. We have had one of the Shyvana games. That was Pyoshik, and it didn't work out very well this particular season. Fly's most 3. Don't know what that means. It's got the most 3s on this champion, I guess.
Most played?
Or third most played, I think, might have been the translation, but that's okay.
That's totally fine.
I think we somewhat understood what was going on.
I do believe so.
Just to remind you guys, this is match point for Afrika. This is a best of 3. Wildcard has always been best of 3. And then playoff round 1 is where the best of 5s do begin. That will be in a couple of days, and it'll be the winning team here facing off against Gen G. We were asked to do predictions, and I think all of our predictions are going to get ruined because I think everyone said that T1 were going to win 2-0. So we've already screwed it up, and we may be getting it even more wrong if Afrika are able to win this game with a pretty good draft, as we can see. So far, nothing's really happened. And the Renekton does still need to get ahead, so we're looking to see when Dread is actually going to head up top here and try and help out.
The interesting thing is that normally in Jace matchups, it's measured by how close you stay to Jace, and Keen's ahead in CS right now against this Jace. He also has a cannon inside of him that Kana does not, and so that's actually more than what the CS score at the bottom would lead you to believe is currently the advantage up in top lane. This should just not be happening up here in top. So Kana, very low on mana. He's only at about 40% right now, or 35%. And Keen is just in a super comfortable position. This isn't a winning line. Finally, though, Double Merc Treads Rush coming out for both of the respective mid laners.
Yeah,
the scary
now
thing
level
for T1,
6 is there.
Yeah.
With Faker.
Destiny Gate available, but they're not really manipulating any lane states to be favorable. They're just playing ping pong. And if you're an Afrika fan, you're feeling really, really good about this.
Well, here on the bottom side, they're not feeling super great, as I believe actually, no, never mind. Mystic's going to be able to even this one out completely with a full minion wave to eat through. But as far as lane priority, not going to quite be there as Fly slinking around this mid lane. As Celestial Expansion working out here as he doesn't find the Star Surge. Getting a bit of practice in on my Aurelion Soul abilities. It's been a while. As there's the flash forward. Cuz just wants to try and grab this kill. He's going to dive onto Fly. Flash for flash. And I guess that probably works out because Fly, of course, doesn't have teleport, so now he has to go back. We'll probably miss out on a couple of creeps. And now doesn't have flash for a follow-up gank here, potentially from Cuz.
And you could tell by how Faker seemed to be clicking. He was clicking to the left as Cuz went in, and then clicked back. Almost as if they just weren't on the same page. If Faker was just able to be there with Flash, Gold Card, or Destiny, Fly would just go down. He doesn't have cleanse, remember that. So, really strange. And now this is a cannon wave. And so Fly's going to be able to get here. He's not really going to miss anything. In fact, he's going to keep Faker under enormous amounts of pressure, because he's just going to be able to shove this wave back really quickly. So, I don't know what T1's going to really look for here. This isn't a gankable lane state in bottom.
Especially
they
not without
might try
flash.
to force it.
Well, it's just going to be a back coming in as Mystic finds some Graviton procs. Okay, Cuz in position. There's an immediate Destiny down towards the bottom side as Cuz jumps on top of the Aphelios. Ben's going to die as well. A double kill already here for T1, and the first Destiny from Faker works out very, very well.
Well, the Destiny Gate ends up coming down into bottom. And, I mean, Mystic and Ben, I don't know what they're thinking in that spot. Oh, we got another big trick.
Yeah, Fly looking for that Star Surge, but he's not going to be able to find it. The ulti comes out, but that's not enough either. Faker's already here, teleporting in. But they're not going to dive on top of the Aurelion Soul, and he will survive. 3-0, though, and T1 look like they've come online here for game number 2.
Well, all of a sudden, the game has snowballed in T1's favor. Probably see a replay of the bot lane in just a second. Cuz looks like he's going to start up the Rift Herald. Effort there as well. Teleport coming in from Kana. Just to really guarantee that they get this. Now, the gold that they get from the Rift Herald is actually going into the turret and top lane. Just in terms of minions and EXP. So, not worth for Kana outright. So, even though they pick up the Rift Herald, we'll see what they can manage to actually get with it. Tear of the Goddess picked up on him, so a little bit more of a scaling itemization from the Jace.
Wants to do as much damage as possible. Seen a bit of this. As Effort makes his way back down bot. And they have vision in that brush, but you saw Effort actually didn't want to clear it just yet. I believe Dread was out of vision. As Faker's starting to be able to clear these waves a little bit more effectively with a few points into those wild cards. And now Dread wants to try and help Snowball Keen. Shock Blast clears out the backline of minions, and that means this wave is just going to keep pushing into Keen.
Yeah, and it looks like Keen was looking,
There's the flash forward. They will be able to get the stun. That should be an executed counter. And this is why this combo is so deadly. Ladies and gentlemen, you decide to kill someone and they die.
And it really did look like Keen was telling a pretty consistent story with his behavior in lane. And so it seemed like it was really hard for Kana to read that Nidalee could be there. And so now the Renekton getting further and further ahead of the Jace, which is bad news bears.
Yeah.
But definitely not the end of the world for T1 because of the advantages they accrued elsewhere.
We'll have to see about the scaling factor of the Aphelios. Still does do massive damage if he makes it to the late game. And going to be doing a lot more than what the Callista will. Let's have a look at this gank once again.
This is the replay. You can see Aphelios could have just pushed the minions and nothing would happen. The wave was coming in. There was no way for T1 to actually dive it. And the worst thing is you know that TF just disappeared. And so the bottom lane should have been respecting it, but they didn't. So Afrika really, really blunder, and TF just take advantage. TF comes in with the ultimate, and T1, they just take advantage of it.
It was well played. Afrika able to get 1 kill back, and now it's Canna calling for a little bit of support here towards the top side, Cuz with his ultimate back available. No flash, but we'll be able to turn off this turret, and intelligently, you've got Keen backing away. Cuz will be able to put down the Rift Herald if you would like to. As you can see, though, there is a bit of a rotation moving up towards the top side. Remember, Comet of Legend will be able to get Fly in there relatively fast. But he moves back into mid, help clear out this wave. And of course, with these stars hanging around the dragon, he's able to clear out waves quite effectively. As another minion wave now going to be delivered to Keen, who holds on to that slight minion advantage.
Well, the first Mountain Dragon going over to Afrika is a bit worrisome because we mentioned earlier on about how T1 should want to be the team that gets all of the dragons and tries to transition that into a soul point capture. And so for them to having lost that, not super good. The gold score for them is still 1,000. Remember, they do have a 2-kill advantage with a couple of assists as well as Twisted Fate's passive, helping put that score on the board. And Afrika, though, I'm pretty sure they're sitting pretty. Cuz is going to come up here. There's still 2 minutes on the plates. He's going to walk over a ward. No one's really able to be there with him.
Yep, you can see a bit of a rotation from the bottom lane as well as Effort and Teddy are making their way in. Remember, Fate's Call is going to be there, so Effort can play very aggressively. They're just going to get a shove out as Cuz puts down Shelly. And now you got Keen trying to get some work done. There's a stun as he slices out of the way of the volley bear. Faker gets underneath the turret though, and this was all too easy. Fly getting in there, but maybe a little bit too late as Dread will be able to kill Shelly at least. As Star Surge comes out, stuns up Faker for a moment, but those Merc Treads doing some work. And Afrika are going to lose even more gold as the Aurelion Soul has to go back. This is a good power play out from T1 as the Shock Blast barely scratching the behind of the escaping dragon.
And T1 now with almost a 3,000 gold lead have been accrued for them here in game number 2. Twisted Fate looks like he's going for the Zanya's Hourglass, second item here. As Faker does pick up the Seeker's Arm Guard, he does already have the stopwatch. Perhaps want to just get that item so that he fills up inventory space rather than sitting on stopwatch for all of eternity. But they should be feeling real comfortable here inside of this game, and we're taking a little glimpse at how Teddy manages to get some CS score as he steals away the golems from Cuz. But this game is looking pretty stable right now for T1.
Yeah, it's only Dread with any sort of kill for Afrika. And that was in that topside play that should always happen when it comes to Nidalee and Renekton. You'd expect that one, so we're not going to be too mean to Canna. Falling prey to a Nidalee Renekton gank is something that you should expect. As now Teddy with the wave in a very nice position here on the bottom side. They did lose 1 plate from that rotation. And you can see 10 CS advantage here for Mystic. And so, you know, the late game Aphelios win condition still exists for Afrika. It's not like all the pressure is off, but T1 with that last play have given themselves the largest gold lead that they've had throughout this series so far in 3,000.
Well, we'll see what they can manage to do with it here. Infernal Dragon's coming up in a minute. See if Callista can manage to recall and get that Blade of the Ruin King.
Alright, Faker coming in. Gold card. Held on to now. Star Surge finds nothing. An Effort with a great cask. In goes Dread, but it's only onto Cuz, and he's very tanky right now. Is the spear going to be avoided by everyone? And with 50 seconds on that Infernal Drake, Flyer's going to have to book it to get down here and try and contest. We've got both of our mid laners with Rod of Ages completed. There's Keen in position as well. Top lane just left to the Wolves, and Canna is going to go back up there and clear things out. So we're going to have a look at this one more time. The top lane gank. So this was a while ago.
Yeah. Quite a long while ago, and I don't know what Keen was trying to do there, because Volibear is disabled onto the turret. This one was really strange as well. I don't know what Fly's thinking. So let's give him benefit of the doubt. The Q stuns up the Volibear, Nidalee throws the spear, Volibear goes to 60% HP. That's the sequence of events that ends up unfolding there. So I don't know what Afrika are really thinking, especially because Cuz can also react to what they're trying to do. Love the Magi Soul Stealer pickup on Faker, even though he doesn't have a lot of stacks on it. He's going to be able to pick it up pretty quickly. And this is just all around a very powerful buy for the specific point in the game.
Yeah, and it will be this Infernal Drake secured by T1, so 1 dragon apiece for these teams. It will be Cloud Soul this game, as now Cuz in the back of the pit does have Flash. Didn't want to use it too quickly, as that's a great body slam once again. Fate's Call to make sure that the Gragas is safe, and he gets that CC onto the Renekton, but he flashes forward, trying to do more, but unfortunately Mystic doesn't have enough damage, and Canna finds him from behind. Dread now trying to pounce his way out as he primally surges, but he's gone straight to the Death Chamber. Jace picks up the double kill, and it's now 9-1. This game is snowballing out of control for T1.
This game is so far gone for Afrika at this point. T1 are ahead 6,000 gold, and the Magi's I was just talking about a second ago, the passive's in full effect. He's got 11 stacks on it, and Faker on this TF, really good cast.
Yeah, and a great ulti out of the Aurelion Soul as well, but able to trade 1 for 1 isn't exactly what you want, especially with Faker taking turrets towards the bottom side. That's going to be 3-0 as far as that turret score now, and T1 are going to get the better of the trade once again.
And Faker just going to shove in this final wave here before looking for his reset, and they are just so far ahead inside of this game. They get the Infernal Dragon, and I really like the coordination by them here, cuz trying to bait them to come in. They chain the CC together, Effort goes over the wall, he knows he's got Ashe Ketchum there to save him, throw him into the Pokeball, back onto Keen, and no one can follow up. Fly is a sitting duck inside of the Dragon Pit. He can't join. I don't know what Dread's thinking, but he's feeling Dread. Flashes over the wall. Kana follows him, knocks him to the side. Dread tries to get away, gets slowed there by the Jace. We're below you. We're below you. It's okay. We can back off. We can back off. Look at this. I'm gonna ult you. Nice. Lantern. Aphelios, no flash. I heard Lantern. I might have been completely wrong there, but really nice My Life for Ire there out of Effort.
I love the Zealotry. Absolutely fantastic. As T1 going to take down Shirley as well. A bit of a monopoly on these Rift Heralds this game. And as far as the series is concerned, they're now 3-1. And now the Cloud Drake going to be up in 2.5 minutes. Dread just wanting to lock down this blue buff for his dragon. And he will be able to do so. You can see massive gold leads across the board. 3,000 gold ahead for Faker. He is massive. And he has a Magi, so it's even more value. Oh my god.
Well, things are looking pretty good right now if you are a T1 fan. The only sign of good news for Afrika is that it's Cloud coming up next. Blazing King active used, but they're not going to try to follow up.
You're not looking for anything, as you can see. Behind a little bit is the Renekton in farm, but behind even more when it comes to every other stat. 1 item to the 2 completed for Canna. And he's sitting on an extra longsword as Fly does have an eye above his head there, and he's just looking to clear out this cannon minion and stop the Jace from pushing any further forward. The Faker's clearing out vision. Shirley pops down. As T1 should be able to continue getting her to shove in towards these turrets. We'll see whether she can get a charge onto an inhibitor turret. As you can see, this is going to confirm the inner. 19.5 minutes. Baron will be available in 20 seconds time. And there we go. Second charge for Shirley. Now Afrika, I mean, they still do have, I guess, theoretically, the 200 years get out of jail free policy. But I don't know whether it's really going to work out as Dread gets over, smites away the big puppy. But if that's the consolation prize that you're looking for, it's not exactly going to be enough here as Fly turns the corner. Star Surge not going to find Effort. The Aurelion Soul really hasn't done what he needed to.
No, the other bizarre thing is there was never really a point in the game where we ever saw something that made us think, wow, Aurelion Soul, right? So he was locked up in laning phase, had Ignite against okay, well,
yeah, he's dead.
Honestly, that's just rude.
Yeah.
when Renekton was around, I don't even think polar bears existed, and so this is just, it's not really fair.
I mean, would he rather fight a mammoth? I mean, actually, Renekton's a crocodile, dude. He's still around. So, I think he'll be fine. He might have been around for longer. But back in his day, it was, you know, things like mammoths and stuff like that.
Okay. Well,
saber-toothed tigers.
Nasus, you know?
Yeah.
Nasus was around. In his ear.
I mean, if they're brothers, you'd assume that they were around.
Well, imagine getting yelled at by a giant bird.
Yeah, no, that would suck.
That would
Although he does have a pretty lovely voice. I'm a bit of a fan of how Azir sounds, so it's absolutely. I mean, it's nothing in comparison to Nasus.
Yeah.
Nasus' voice has always been extraordinary. As Kaz will take down this Cloud Drake. Understandably, T1 have complete control of the map. As let's have a look at this gank once again.
아 본다. 탑 보는 중 우리. 노플이야 노플. 이 빠졌다. 노플이면 잡았어 이거. 노플이야.
He has no flash.
노플 확실. 잡았어. 탈진되나? 레넥 용대 노공 이러면. 탈진돼.
Didn't even need the exhaust, as it turned out. As now Mystic is being discovered. Oh, sidesteps by accident, but it doesn't actually matter. Canna, to the skies, going to send everyone to the skies, as this game is over, guys. Dread going to be taken down. Ben quick to follow. A double kill for the Jace. That's a triple, I believe.
I'd be really surprised if we don't have a mature audience rating pop up on the screen. I'm not totally sure. This is looking a little bit TOS here in game number 2.
Very much. 15 stacks onto the Magi's here for Faker, as we're going to go into a replay once again while they take down the Baron. Look at this accidental sidestep for Mystic. That was cute.
Yeah, I mean,
he's still dead.
Kana, he doesn't even need any damage inside of this game. Dread just gets completely clown bopped there by the Gragas. Nautilus shortly thereafter following, and I don't know what to say. Really, Atlas, this game is just, I don't know. 11,000 gold advantage at 22 minutes is absolutely insane. This is looking like a Damwon game almost.
It certainly is feeling like that. And T1 aren't letting off the gas at this point in time. They do have the Baron buff. It is getting spread, well, at least in a couple of seconds, spread between 3 lanes. As Kalista will make short work of the bottom lane, Kuz going to send this minion wave towards the injured inhibitor turret in mid. And you can see Canna shoving in towards the top side. Kuz's rotation over. And they're trying to get a bit of a siege happening onto this inner turret. As these minions are going to conga line through. There's the Destiny. Just to make sure that there's no one waiting to gank them. And Canna says, well, I guess we'll take down this inner turret. And Faker's going to agree. They run out of minions. So they're not going to be able to continue pushing to the inhibitor. So Freaka are bleeding gold. They're not able to get into their jungle. This blue buff is going to be delivered over to T1. And that's just more and more money and buffs that Freaka won't be able to get towards. Do have 2 items now completed for Mystic. So I guess there's that. But we're almost up to 3 for Teddy. He is very, very strong.
I mean, I don't know what Afrika's out is inside of this game as well. We're mentioning 200 years. I don't think even 200 years.
We might need like 700 years.
So 400 years. Well,
yeah.
Fortunately, Yone is disabled. So we won't be seeing him here inside of this game. As it just looks like this is a pretty standard 1-1-3 here.
Yeah, with Kuz floating to the lanes that are getting pressured. Top inhibitor turret is going to go down. Fake is going to be able to grab the inhibitor in mid while Canna gets to work on the top side. Afrika were distracted with, you know, Teddy and co on this bottom side, but they're going to be losing the majority of their base here, and there's just nowhere for Afrika to go. They're going to have to actually start some sort of fight as Fly readying up the Comet of Legend.
I think he's talking to Boris.
Yeah, well, he's going to charge up this Star Surge and see what he can get done here. As we'll see what the stun is actually going to be able to do. It does nothing. The Aphelios is obliterated as now Keen trying to get on top of Teddy, who's just bouncing around. He will be saved, but the spear connects, so they lose the Callista, but it doesn't really matter, guys. This is still probably going to be the end of the game as Keen just launching himself after Effort, but Effort not too worried as the Shock Blast just the side is going to connect, and that's going to be the end of the game at 25.5 minutes. T1 clap back completely against Afrika. Welcome back, Faker. We've missed you. This is his first win for quite some time, but definitely in the right moment.
And that was definitely a game number 2 with Faker coming back in on the Twisted Fate, getting so much to happen for his teammates, really punishing a lot of Afrika's blunders inside of the game. Fly's Aurelion Sol wasn't really able to do anything. It came in R5 in a counter matchup. It still seemed like the matchup was pretty Twisted Fate favored, even though not a lot really happened. So, not totally sure what happened in Afrika's mind. Now the series is tied up 1-1. We got a best of 1 now. And I would imagine that the momentum is heavily in T1's favor after a game like that.
Yep, and also T1 get to keep their side selection. Very interesting that Afrika chose red side, but you could imagine that T1 are very happy to stick on blue and try and at least utilize this added momentum to move further forward. I expect them to keep the same bans and make that one work out for themselves. So T1 in a very good position moving into a game number 3, and this is what we're expecting, right? Like, I don't think anyone was expecting the outcome of game 1. It was definitely very interesting, but Afrika still have a chance to upset by getting a victory in our next match. We know that they can do it. Whether they will is going to be the question that we're going to have to wait for the next game. But you're right. I think it's like Twisted Fate difference is coming through a lot in this series. TF was third picked on red side in our first game and was then priority picked in this one. And you saw exactly why, right? Faker, I believe, has been playing Twisted Fate for the last, like, I don't know, how long is his career? 7 years? He's definitely been playing it for a long time.
Well, definitely one of the OGs. This was Afrika's really big blunder. Pushing a wave they didn't need to push. They knew Twisted Fate was missing. They knew that that type of a play was possible. And then right here, Dread, trying to steal away the blue, jumping in onto Kana. He had Fly coming, but they just didn't respect that Twisted Fate could come. Kana didn't even need Faker there to actually kill Dread, so that was a very big blunder. This was a really nice hide by Keen to not allow Kana to get a read. This is another blunder. You have to wonder what is really going on. Volibear, he has Chilling Smite, he has Flash there. You're never going to hit him. And T1 just keep getting advantage after advantage as Afrika just keeps stumbling headfirst into them. Take a look at this. I've never seen a Nautilus so excited to die.
But the play was absolutely amazing out of Effort. I think Effort's support Gragas was incredible this game. He definitely played very, very well. The team fights, I think, would have been completely different if it wasn't for that Gragas. So definitely hats off to him. See whether he manages to pick up a player of the game for it. But just to be able to bring out the support Gragas out of nowhere was pretty fun. And definitely a much better look for T1 utilizing Gragas support than it was when he was picking it back-to-back games alongside Yasuo, I'll tell you that much.
I'm really looking forward to the game number 3 draft because it's do or die right now for Afrika. And if the Aurelion Sol was a pocket pick that was meant to come out and match point, I don't know what that could possibly mean now, because now we're actually in match point.
Yeah, and it didn't look too comfortable from Fly. We know that he absolutely loves the Aurelion Sol, but I think maybe we got a bit of a look in as to how much Aurelion Sol he's been playing recently. I don't think that it was all that impressive, as this was where the game had snowballed completely out of control. But T1 pretty good at just taking a winning game and completing it, right? 25 minutes. That's feeling pretty good here for T1. Not all that much damage out of Afrika. Very evenly spread between everyone. You can see Kana did a lot of work with those shock blasts. But I think this was a team effort out of T1, and hats off go to effort. 7.3k actually out of the support Gragas was pretty impressive. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting game on our hands. The deciding game number 3 is now upon us. Can Afrika do what they did in game 1? Or can T1 get themselves into playoffs round 1? We'll see after the break.
there's your first blood. Good lord, man! The dream is alive and well. The crowd erupts.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK 2020 Summer Playoffs. I am Atlas, joined by LS here for the deciding game between T1 and Afrika. Not entirely sure what just happened. Apparently there was someone on screen or something like that. Something weird just happened. Not entirely sure. Hope you guys are okay. I'm not sure what happened, but I assume something did. That's totally fine. Let's just get into this game, as Faker was able to come in as the savior for T1. We'll see whether he can do so again, as he picks up player of the game as well. My goodness. Stacks up that Magi's, goes to town, and picks up POG.
Yeah, well, I ended up giving him player of the game. I think that my runner-up would have been Effort.
I would have definitely given it to Effort. 10 out of 10 times that game.
You know what? That's why we took away your vote. That's why, you know, this is how it works.
I have to learn to accept it.
Yeah. Faker, he got a lot of things going for the team. Obviously, there was many spots where he had the aid of Effort, but so many times on the top side of the map, he was just able to really help get the ball rolling for his team, offset a lot of the problems that were happening in the early and mid transition. So, curious to see the spread here. I'm not expecting a unanimous vote.
Well, it was a unanimous vote.
If you were voting, so because I was voting, I was expecting one, you know?
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you just probably paid everyone off. You're like, nah, Chovy's not my boy anymore. He lost to DRX. And so now it's Faker that's coming through. But definitely a very good performance from the gentleman, as Spirit is going to come in and try and save the day here for Afrika. The substitutions so far this series have definitely worked out in favor of both teams. So let's see what is going to happen with a new jungler on Afrika's side. Of course, Dread hadn't been playing all that much for Afrika, but I think the last few games that Spirit had played, he didn't necessarily look like his former self. And it seemed like there was... he looked sad in a few of his more recent series. So I'm not entirely sure what's been going on with Spirit, but it hasn't necessarily been good news.
Even in some of the comms, the mic checks that we've gotten to listen in on, he didn't sound very enthusiastic while either winning the games or trying to shot call them or whatever. And I don't know what this kind of a change is going to do. Now, Spirit is the unorthodox jungle player. So if there is some other magical pick here that's going to be coming out that wasn't just the Aurelion Soul, this is probably going to be the game for it, and it's most likely going to be Spirit picking that champion. So I'm interested to see what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I expect Lilia is going to be even higher on the ban priority list, but she was banned on blue side both games anyway, so not expecting that one to be where things change. I mean, you always have to think of Poppy when it comes to Spirit. What her relevance is going to be, I'm not entirely sure, but looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. It might be a Poppy pick, right? You assume it goes into jungle, then T1 picks Akali because she's so strong at the moment, and then it gets Poppy mid lane.
Randomly sends it right up to... Oh, that... who knows?
Think about
Honestly, at this point, I'll think about it, Atlas.
That's some fun times. Some definitely fun times in the draft. But I don't know whether they're going to be playing that deep. I think we're going to probably see some pretty standard drafts out of both teams. But I think the one thing that's going to change is a Twisted Fate ban. That definitely has to happen.
Yep.
As we're taking a little bit of time here. I think there might be a slight delay just to make sure that Spirit can get set up and all that sort of stuff. Fun fact, Afrika are actually playing from the Freak Up studio because their internet wasn't good enough or something like that in their gaming house, and they now get to have that, like, the full stadium experience, and that may have been what helped them in game number one really feel the gravity of this particular series, get themselves in the zone. It didn't work for game number two, of course, but just a fun little fact that you can check it out on Twitter, get some of those pictures. Freak Up Studio, of course, famously known for hosting the GSL, which is the StarCraft 2 league that is over here in Korea, and one of the most famous in the world. So a cool place is the good old Freak Up Studio.
Yeah. It's also Challengers Korea, GSL.
Yep.
And a lot of tournaments have definitely been hosted there. And so being there, being in that environment can be really good. Keep you sort of in the zone as well. The internet thing really does surprise me, though, because Korea, you can get 1 gig up, 1 gig down for basically $10. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's some infrastructure issue with like maybe the Wi-Fi is bad, maybe they just don't have a good router or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning is, but I think just going there anyway does make some sense. Last time I was there, I was just randomly sitting by myself with an LS whose eyes had exploded for Kesper.
Okay.
That was some good times.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, my eyes do not explode anymore.
Especially
Those
not
lights
you're in the
are-
death realm. When you're in the death realm, you're safe.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, the death
So
realm
thankfully
is,
we're okay.
You know, I mean, I get visited sometimes, but not often.
Hey, it's our good friend Mordecai. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
5 seconds to go. T1 thinking about what they want to ban alongside the Lilia and the Caitlyn. Twist of Fate ban on blue side, probably not going to happen. So they're going to take away the Nautilus from Ben. I actually like this. He's been priority picking that one very, very high up the draft, as Twist of Fate is going to be banned. So that pivot that we were expecting does end up coming through. The Swain first pick, of course. Ooh, Set gets through the
Set?
draft this time. Okay. That's going to be
Okay,
locked in
T1,
here by T1.
Going to lock it in. Now, I imagine that they have a plan okay, all right. Volibear
the pseudo self-counter pick.
Yeah, there we go.
Love it.
The Volibear is not what I was expecting. Let's see if Afrika do end up locking it in.
All right.
All right.
I would have much preferred something like, just Renekton and Nidalee. They could have just done it again. But instead it will be the Volibear. There's the Callista as well. So maybe it's going to be that sneaky Volibear support. Not going to happen. It's not old Volibear. Old Volibear was the one that was used like that, not this one. So a little bit unfortunate. That's okay. Win some, you lose some. Now let's have a look at what T1 is going to prioritize. Oh, this could be just center Set on the bottom side, but also what the center does is allows Set to flex everywhere.
Yep.
He can now be top, jungle, mid, and support, or theoretically AD carry. That's a 5-way flex, because technically you could be feeding him. So 5-way flex, nice work there by T1.
Well, we'll see what they end up picking up here on B3. And it's probably going to show, okay, so Set no longer going to go into the mid lane. That's going to be Zoe. Oh, no, going to be Renekton. Now, the interesting thing here is Set center Renekton. This is really setting up for Evelynn. Karthus.
Oh, yes. Yep. Evelyn's the new Karthus pick, isn't she? Because she got buffed?
Well, she got a very big buff for her early game dueling, both 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, because of her Q change. But she's very underappreciated as a champion. Now, all these champions that Afrika has right now, they're very squishy, they're very prone to Evelynn and Karthus. And I don't know if Afrika is going to actually read it as such, but things get really scary here. Orianna now banned away by Afrika, and that could just be a very far off read from where T1's trying to go here.
Yeah, I don't expect I don't know, man. I feel like when we get these magic damage comps, it could also be Gragas jungle, because remember, Cuz is the best Gragas that we have in the LCK, and does do a lot of damage, especially now after the minor buff that he did get. So certainly up in the air with a lot of different options, as the Olaf going to be the follow-up ban up against Cuz. Only allows that Gragas to come further in. Unless Afrika decide to pick it away. I mean, they could just run the same bot lane that T1 did by putting Gragas in the support position. Quinn, the first ban. They might just ban Lucian as well, just to make sure Keen doesn't have a good matchup. Akali is still... No, she's not. She's banned. Never mind. She was banned first. And there's the Jace ban. And so we've got a lot of things that Renekton doesn't like banned away, apart from that Lucian.
And we'll have to see what Afrika wants to take into the Renekton here. If they pick their support on R4, they show that Volibear is either top or jungle, most likely only jungle. But if they don't counterpick support, then Senna has her pick of what she wants to do. Okay, Tom being instantly hovered. And that would really suggest to me that we're not probably getting Evelynn or Karthus, because that would mean that Set is going mid or top. And Renekton,
I mean, we could have Set mid, Renekton top, and then theoretically Evelynn or Karthus, or... Well, there's the Karthus, and he's going to be locked in, so that is exactly what's going to happen. Will be Renekton on the top side of the map, the Set in the mid lane, or the other way around with Senatom Kench on the bottom side. Karthus now priced into doing a lot of damage this game.
Well, I just don't even know what Afrika can really hope. Oh, it's going to be Kalista top.
Oh, okay. The Ezreal to be locked in for Mystic.
And Kayn was one of the first players that would draw a lot of attention for the Kalista top in the LCK. And so this is going to be a narrow line to walk. If Renekton gets a hold of Kalista once, though, in the laning phase, it's over. It is basically going to be a broken neck, and she's never going to recover. That's just how the lane goes. But T1, the ball's in their court, all squishies on the side of Afrika for their primary carries, which means that Karthus' Requiem is going to evaporate 70% of their HP in mid-game, and that is so hard for Afrika to play against.
We'll just have to see how it's going to work out. It is confirmed that Karthus is going to be in the jungle. It's not any mid-Karthus shenanigans or anything like that. But I'm glad that Afrika mixed up the draft. And I also love that in this game number 3, deciding match in playoffs, it's Kayn that gets the flex pick into a good matchup on the top side of the map with a champion that does do a lot of work. And now Volibear has the value of a Fate's Call to allow him to get out after dive bombing in with that ultimate. Very excited to see how this one's going to work out with Mystic on his Ezreal. I mean, his name's Mystic. Ezreal has an ability with Mystic in the name. Must be a good choice here. And Fly Zoe has been one of his most successful picks. And Ben is on another engaged support, and that's all he likes.
The really, really scary thing here is that T1, their team composition, you can't itemize against Cuz. He's always going to be valuable at every stage inside of this game. And with Set being a pseudo-support champion, Renekton just needing one advantage to put the lights out in top lane, things get really scary. Senna thematically answers Zoe and Ezreal in the mid-late stages of the game as well. So T1, they have everything going for them. They found themselves a beautiful Karthus spot, and that's what I was referring to when I was saying Afrika really misreading the second ban phase. It should have been Karthus Evelynn, and at that point, there's still another AP jungler that can come in, but no one's probably thinking about him globally right now, but it would have been Fiddlesticks, and I just don't know if T1 even has that in their inventory.
I mean, the other option was also Gragas that Cuz could have been playing, but I do like Karthus in this spot. I think it's absolutely fine. Just have to see how the lanes work out, because theoretically, mid and top should be in favor of Afrika in this early stage of the game. As shout out to Fnatic, Cuz picking up their skin.
Self-made watching somewhere.
Yeah.
As okay, it's going to be a red start. And let's see what kind of a clear Cuz is going to go for, and we'll put him on the timer. Can he clear sub 3 minutes, given that he did have a leash? Oh, no, he's not going down to golems. This is very surprising.
I'm going to take the chickens first. Yep. As Kayn is zoning Canner out of as much as he possibly can. And yeah, not going to be able to get... Oh, no, gets into experience range as the minions decide to be nice to him. And let's see how Kayn's going to play this one out.
Cuz is doing is by skipping gold. Wait, what kind of a path is this?
A funny
one. This is not a path. Unless he thinks that Spirit is cheesing him. The only thing I can imagine is that he's doing this 3-camp clear into Kana Ding's level 2, and they gank top with Wall of Pain.
It is high value against Kalista.
Stun. Yeah. I don't know what Cuz's path is. He's also completely even though he just cleared the blue. This is just very, very strange, overly reserved, and now he's pathing away from top lane.
Yeah, it's almost like he just wasted time. It's very strange. It must have been a call from the team, Canna recognizing that there's a large minion wave stacking up that he's going to be able to pick up underneath his turret. and perhaps not expecting to be able to do too much, is Cuz now sitting here for potential counter gank timing. And now expecting some wards in this area. That's very interesting. I don't think there was any opportunity for anyone to get over there and put them down, as now you can see the volley bear coming on forward. There's the slice and dice as Wall of Pain comes down. And Spirit is going to deny this Rift Scuttler that Cuz was thinking about. As this is demolition on the top side.
The really bizarre thing is Karthus, with the leash that he got at red, he could have full cleared his entire blue side jungle and still been the first person to the Scuttle Crab on the left side. Instead, this is some deranged version of clearing that honestly I can't quite comprehend. And Karthus is going to get double scuttled and he's getting outpaced by a Volibear. I mean, it's a disaster. Atlas, yeah. I have no idea. So let me take your mind off it.
Yes, thank you, please do.
We were mentioning Poppy earlier. Well, I have a skin for you.
Oh,
hey,
yeah?
Poppy.
Oh my god, why hasn't it happened yet?
Yeah, I can, Riot can, I'll invoice them later.
Yeah, no, you definitely better do that. Those royalties need to come through. That is a genius idea. Although I would be still using Lollipoppy every game. Because definitely best skin in the game. Pierce comes down, a lot of damage there from the Rend after a few sticks got stacked up. And Keen, he's double the CS of the Crocodile right now. And that's exactly what this Callista is supposed to do. As Ben demolishes that minion with his Dematerializer. And Cuz now coming back. 6-2 on the Karthus. He did play a lot of Karthus when he was extraordinarily strong. And so you can understand why that score must be looking so good.
And we'll see what he's doing here. He's down 2 camps to Volibear. It is so unreal.
Spirit
nice
finds Faker. He's continuing to fight this one out. Press the attack, doing some work. The bubble from long range connects onto the set of the Paddle Star from downtown. And Fly grabs first blood. Mystic in trouble here towards the bottom side. Lands the E. Not enough follow-up damage, and the Tongue Lash is not going to find the mark either. As Ben is going to get that triumphant roar to help Mystic's health bar get back up again. Piercing Darkness coming on in. And T1 not going to be able to win out on that little skirmish.
And Faker looked like he just thought that he could actually get closer to Cuz. And that maybe he wouldn't need to actually flash, but he ended up getting slept. Now, fortunately for him, it was a cannon minion, so he's not losing too much. And Cuz, he's very stunted in this game, just because of the opening path. And I keep harping on about it because he has complete autonomy over his own clear. There's very little that Afrika's team comp and jungler can do to influence it whatsoever. And so it's very weird because he's the centerpiece of T1's team composition. Karthus is supposed to be the one getting very far ahead and being super oppressive.
세트랑 맞다야 할게.
오케이 나 이거 수면 2초 1초.
2 seconds, 1 second. Here I go.
맞았다. 야 천천히 해봐. 나이스.
Nice.
까지 맞을 수 있어?
카서스.
Karthus was there. And now we come back in.
Yep, Rift Scuttlers don't like Skittles that much, as we just found out. And Fly clears out yet another wave. He's ahead by 14 CS, which is a couple of waves.
Yeah.
And not going to find that Paddle Star, so it's absolutely okay. Now going to go collect the blue buff. And it's pretty smooth sailing right now for Afrika. You're talking about the Karthus. I mean, he is still under so much pressure to get more done. If he keeps failing these LS tests when it comes to the jungle Karthus, it's going to look worse and worse here for T1.
Well, I think he's about to ding level 6 off of the red buff. So Requiem will be available, but you can just see that it's impossible for mid or top to really set up lethal. And now Spirit's going to come over here. Faker's asleep again.
Oh, this is a big one. He gets the face breaker, has to flash to get himself out. And it's not going to be the follow-up there from Afrika, but they still get the summoner spell that they were looking for. And Faker is under a lot of pressure. True shot.
Oh,
my
no!
God, just snipes him! Oh! Where did they have that vision? How did they know? Oh my God, Mystic, that was so sick. Did they scry his bloom? Jonas Strong, please show us how the heck he knew that.
Oh, I felt that actually. Oh.
Yeah, that was in your waters. Did you feel it in your waters?
I actually clinched.
Yeah.
That was not. And the other bad thing about this is Karthus had red buff, so Mystic should have red now,
Oh
which
my
is
God.
very obnoxious. Now he's not gonna have it.
Bubble connects.
Okay. Well, Fly though.
Okay.
KDA Kyle. Not actually going to go for the kill onto effort.
He doesn't need to. He's already 20 CS in the lead. Faker wasn't even in lane. Gets himself a turret plate. No need to be greedy as the wall of pain goes down. But whose pain is it right now? Because Afrika will be able to take the Rift Scuttler very comfortably. Fly not going to throw the Paddle Star at anything in particular. And it looks like Spirit, the substitution buff is coming through for both of these teams so far. Faker comes in, wins his game, and Spirit comes in and he's looking much better in this game as well. He's in position. Cuz is also over here, but gives away his location by throwing down another wall of pain. Fly finding yet another bubble onto Faker. We'll have that grit to chew through. And as you can see, Afrika just with a lot of control. Facebreaker comes down, immediate cleanse there from Fly. He throws in a heal for himself as Spirit has found Cuz yet again. Ulti comes down. Dawning Shadow's there to try and keep the Karthus alive, but Spirit does grab the kill. Blastcone's going to be in position, but there's the Requiem. Oh, saves him as Keen comes through as the hero, and he gets denied so much. Oh no, this is not Cuz's game.
Oh man. This just feels heartbreaking. I mean, Teddy, Effort, and Kana now they're up here. They don't have a Rift Herald. I mean, they're going to try to get some turret plates, but Ezreal down in bottom. Mystic's just getting free waves. He gets a free turret plate for himself. Already has the mirror mana. Things are so doomed. How?
How? Seriously?
내가 턴 내려가는 턴이야.
오케이.
이걸 삼거리로 돌아오면 탑 갱각도 나와.
Oh, he was going for the
꼬아서 한번
back.
바로 닦아볼게 그럼.
나이스!
뭐야 이거?
What is that?
no
What-
idea.
Okay.
야왜 죽냐? 렐렉.
얘는 미드.
라인.
Oh my god,
That
that's
is-
so crazy.
Okay, well, in this replay, you can see Faker, he tries to get the face breaker into the superplex onto Zoe. Cuz here, trying to do as much damage as he can. He actually kited down a little bit more than he wanted to. Requiem, Keen flashes for the Pokeball onto Spirit. Ends up saving him from his demise. And Afrika, they're in a very comfortable position right now, Atlas. They're 2,500 gold up. And when you're up this kind of amount and Set is basically a support, you can get away with getting some MR. If you want to really stifle the enemy Karthus,
Yeah.
this is feeling very disastrous right now.
And at this stage of the game as well, I mean, Senna's not doing a whole lot of damage, so I don't think you need to worry about armor too much when it comes to these mid-game team fights. I think you're right. I think Magic Resist is definitely an option. But also, so is damage. When you're winning by this much, you can certainly just build more and be better, and then not worry. Runic Echo's now completed for Cuz, but he's got an empty jungle, and he's thinking about looking for a gank. Not going to be too much that he's going to be able to achieve, especially with this huge minion wave that Keen is going to be pushing forward. He's going for more of a lethality vibe for the build.
I guess he
okay,
didn't
Spirit's
get spotted. Yeah, Spirit is there.
Oh, another bubble is going to connect. Headbutt Pulse comes down. True Shot Barrage is there as well. Faker's lit on fire, trying to run. Haymaker comes in. Facebreaker's there onto two, as there's the showstopper. Faker trying to hold onto it, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Effort not quite there in time. Didn't have flash available. And it's 0-4 now for T1. They're behind over 3,000 gold. And it's only 12 minutes. Afrika look like they're about to do it, Ellis. This is insane.
They are about to cross the Prime Meridian line, Atlas, is what is about to happen.
Oh,
Spirit?
the stun onto Canna.
Yeah.
Black.
Oh, no.
no.
Nothing is going right for them in the... Okay, you know what? Honestly, this is just... Cue the music.
We just need some buttons to be pressed. All right, buttons were pressed. It was fun. Fly comes over with a redemption. Zoe's best friend. Cuz puts down a wall of pain, though, and that's going to keep Effort alive. Or at least keep his health bar up. Despite all of that weirdness going on here, Keen is able to get himself another turret plate. And T1 just trying to pick up the pieces still. Effort, no beef for you, my friend. As Faker just wants to get himself a bit of a reset timing. Bubble connects onto the Tahm Kench. Cuz is in position as, okay, Faker was looking for a little bit more. Flash comes out, headbutt just for disengage. As, yeah, Faker was looking for a face breaker, couldn't find anyone's face to break. Didn't have Showstopper available, so they didn't have to be scared of that one, but a couple of summoner spells that T1 were able to get, and that's always good news.
And T1 are falling further and further behind as this game goes on. It's about a 4,000 gold lead right now for Afrika, and everything is going their way. The only thing that they're not doing is they're not getting any dragons. We take a look at this replay here, and Faker just getting brought down. There's not really much that he was able to do. Things are looking pretty grim.
It is dicey to say the least. Absolutely. Yeah. As counter up here, he's going to clear out this wave pretty comfortably. Keen will pick it up though. And he has that cheeky little serrated Dirk. And is now building towards his Blade of the Ruin King as per usual. And he's 30 CS in the lead. 0-0-0 for both of our top laners. But 0-2-0 for the Karthus is real bad news as Fly shoots Faker with his Super Soaker. I didn't know there was a water fight in mid lane, but apparently there is. Pretty prestigious one, if that skin tells us anything, as Fly grabs himself a barrier and sends his bubble through the wall. Faker will be alright though. As there's the Sanguine Blade picked up by Keen. So he's going for the full split push style on this Kalista.
And Spirit actually does pick up MR on the Volibear, something that he should not have been able to do. One of the things I'm very surprised about, it hasn't picked up in Korea yet, or pretty much anywhere else, but Locket of the Iron Solari, super big here against Karthus' Requiem.
Oh yeah.
And I'm very surprised, I'll be very surprised if Spirit doesn't actually end up getting that at some point in the next 10-15 minutes or so. Teleport comes out in top lane. It looks like Afrika, they want to raise yet another turret. And remember, their win rate, when they get first turrets of the game, it's super high.
Yeah,
because it probably means that they're winning either in bot lane or in top lane, and both Mystic and Keen can really just take over games. Afrika, they're going to get the Rift Herald. That probably is going to mean that Faker's tier 1 mid turret's going to fall shortly thereafter.
Oh no. Teddy's in trouble, but does have a Devour. So Effort is going to save his AD carry, because we'll be able to take away a dragon as well. That's going to be the first one of the game, going down at 15 or 16 minutes. So a very late dragon. But you can see Shelly. She's going to crush this turret. Actually, no. Wasn't even necessary. She'll crush this one instead.
Yeah.
As Afrika are looking to open the map completely. And Bubbles connecting onto minions, not necessarily the highest priority. True Shot Barrage trying to get Shirley towards this inhibitor turret. And she is going to derp just a little bit. We'll see whether that eye is going to be poked out. But as you can see, the inhibitor turret also going to be taken down very, very low. High value Rift Herald there for Afrika.
Well, 6,000 gold lead on the dot right now for Afrika at 16.5 minutes. And Cloud Dragon, it's coming up second, which is a very good roll.
Oh, there's the flash in
for
from
both
Spirit.
parties.
They are just going to explode Teddy. Devour used from Effort onto this Karthus as Cuz looks to try and flash away. Blastcone gets Spirit out of position. Is now Faker looking for the flank. He's still unseen as in goes Fly, but now Faker has to ghost his way out of there. Didn't find his opportunity. Couldn't find his window. And Afrika, I mean, this is a dragon away from a perfect game at 17 minutes in.
This game is looking really, really over, Atlas. And I don't want to be the one to call the game super early on, but with a comp like this one for T1, how do you realistically even come back? The jungle isn't even really yours anymore, which means that your key piece, the Karthus, is going to be so stunted. He's getting out-EXP'd, out-gold.
All right. Oh my god, Teddy picks it up. That's an alley-oop if ever I've seen one. Nice Dawning Shadow to get T1's first kill of the game.
And the kill onto Teddy is definitely big. It's quite welcome.
Oh, yeah.
As, okay, they're going to move up here into top lane. They're going to try to get something done. They're still down 6,000 gold. Another really nice bubble. Love the Magi Soul Stealer. Picked up by Fly. It's currently at 6 stacks. We'll see what else is able to be done.
Yep, Keen. Unfortunately, just face checking a Crocodile, which is not what you want to do. Boop. And I believe a Dark Harvest stack for the Karthus as well, which is also important.
And right now, Teddy looks like he's just going to be waiting for waves to come into him. I mean, he's the only one with a kill on the side of T1. Tom Kench waiting to get to that stone plate. I have no idea where Cuz's gold is at right now. He is sitting on that Amp Tome, has a Dark Seal, but I mean, Set as well, Faker, there's not really much that he's going to be able to do for the rest of the game. You can see he's on the Chain Vest, he's on the Null Magic Mantle. Set's not really changing.
No.
Between now and the next 10-15 minutes, he's basically going to be the same champion. Zoe's only going to get stronger and more obnoxious. Mystic probably going to have MR coming in. There it is. Aegis picked up. He's going to go for the Death Stance. QSS picked up on Callista. Karthus is just dealing no damage now.
This is really rough. Bubble gonna land again. I think Fly's missed like 2 bubbles this game. This is probably one of the best performances we've seen out of Fly all season.
Yeah.
Been very, very impressed by how this guy's been playing out this Zoe. I think the last time we saw him this dominant was in the Kesper Cup, where Fly really found himself. That was a long time ago. That was almost a year ago now. As he went back to his old self as we got into the spring and summer seasons. This is an Afrika out to take some names. And they're ahead by almost 7,000 gold at 20 minutes. Next Drake is going to be a Cloud. We're going to have a Fun Soul, as it will be either the Mountain or the Infernal.
And if you're T1, you hate for Mountain to get rolled. If Mountain ends up getting rolled, your Set's doing no damage, your Senna's doing pretty much no damage, your Renekton gets significantly damage, and Karthus, I mean, he hates when you get more and more magic resistance. So I do not know where anyone's going. And the really weird thing is, Cuz, he picked up a needlessly large rod. I think this means that he's trying to power into Rabadon's death cap. But the opponents are going to have so much high MR values. I don't know why, with the Amp Tome, he didn't just elect to go Void Staff.
Yeah, might have been necessary. Maybe wanted as much damage as possible for this next fight, as Faker does avoid the bubble for the moment. And T1 just going to give away this Drake. I don't think there's any reason to fight for it when they're this far behind. And it is going to be confirmed, smited away there by Spirit very nicely. Bottom side now going to be where Keen's going to look, as Infernal Drake is going to erupt onto the Rift. Few less options for Fly to throw bubbles through, things like that. It's definitely good news for T1.
Well, 7,000 gold lead basically for Afrika right now. 21.5 minutes. That is so scary at this point in the game.
And also, the Renekton is so incredibly useless right now. We've been talking about Set having a rough time, but at least Faker is within touching distance of the CS that's been picked up. But it's a 50 CS gap between Keen and Canna right now. And Renekton, in order to be useful, needs money.
Well, I am not totally sure what is going to be the out here for T1. Unless Karthus gets a massive value out of his passive inside of some sort of a team fight, and Teddy and Kana can sort of clean up. And like you're mentioning about the Renekton, I mean, this is just like the previous game. It doesn't really matter, and when he's this far behind, he's just dead weight. He's an anchor that is dragging you down. He's the iceberg that sank the Titanic.
Yeah.
Pretty much, as T1 are... I think that they just might be praying that Afrika tries to do a Baron.
But how are they supposed to steal it?
Yeah, well,
I mean, Cuz is never
there's
going to get to
Kalista.
the pit. Yes, they know that this is happening, but there's going to be so many sticks in this Baron. They need to go for a team fight. They cannot try and 50-50. As they're going to get a teleport in from Mystic. He wasn't actually there for that fight, but he has his Death's Dance now. Huge item lead for the Ezreal. There's even a Zeke's Harbinger on Ben. So when he pops his ultimate, Mystic only gets stronger. As now they're going to start this one up again with 5 members available. And T1 needs to find a miracle, and they need to find it now.
Yeah. This might be the last hurrah. Wall of Pain is actually going to be wasted, so none of that MR Shred going to be present inside of this fight.
Well, Spirit's actually down very low.
Yep.
Fly gets his Banshees popped, Cuz taking a bit of damage. As Keen still on this...
oh man, there's so many Ren
Face Call
stacks.
comes through. Yeah, there are so many Ren stats here, but the fight is going to start. Devour onto Faker, who's extraordinarily low. There's a True Shot Barrage, but Haymaker gets a big old shield. Ben, with his passive, almost gets killed by the Baron, but as you can see, flies the Sacrificial Lamb.
What?
He is going to go into his stopwatch, and T1 have bought themselves some valuable time.
And I don't know what Afrika was just doing. There's so many Ren stacks inside of the Baron. They end up losing that fight, and if you take a look at Ben, Ben almost died too. Baron Nashor almost dealing fatal damage in a very, very bizarre turn of events. Zoe loses all of her Magi stacks, gets killed, Ben almost dies. Take a look at this Requiem here. Faker, not able to get insane value, gets devoured by effort, repositioned, Haymaker comes out. Take a look at Ben. Baron gets real angry, but not quite enough to kill him. Fly ends up going down.
That's such high value, though, getting the kill onto Fly. Not only do they get the bounty gold, but also those Magi stacks are now non-existent on this Zoe. That snowball has been mitigated by so much. It's now within a 5,000 gold lead for Afrika. Yes, they still have a big advantage, but T1, they can certainly fight when it comes to the late game, as Afrika are going to steal away this blue buff. And a cheeky little ward there for T1, just outside of the Baron. I think most teams know about that particular ward location, so it's likely to be swept, but hasn't gone yet. As you can see, waves getting shoved in. The Zoe taking care of the top side. You've got Kalista moving back down bot. She has teleport available.
Well,
now, we'll see whether Faker can hold this. Doesn't exactly do a lot of damage to minion waves. As Cuz does have the Rabadon's Death Cap, so he did manage to get it. And he's ahead by a lot, as he's been able to power farm. Wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I thought that Afrika would be able to at least pressure him out of his jungle. That hasn't happened.
I feel like Afrika, they've been playing so overly cautious, given the advantages that they did have. I mean, they're going to pick up the Infernal Dragon right now. This is going to be a okay dragon. Volibear is going to get 480 from it, so not a whole lot there. I guess half of a longsword almost. But Kalista and Ezreal and Zoe going to get immense value. Keen's just able to solo that for himself. And this only just makes things worse and worse as the game goes on. But it is the soul that T1 can resist the most. So in that regard, there is definitely a lot of upside.
Yeah. Still very interested in how this game's going to go. You can see giant gold advantages for all of the carries on Afrika's side. It's only Cuz that is ahead by any notable margin. We just have to see how it all concludes. It's Teddy trying to get himself back into this one. Does have the Muramana transformation. And he's building towards his rapid fire cannon now. Faker clearing out the top side. And this game has definitely slowed down as T1 try to stabilize. Next Infernal Drake going to be up in 4 minutes time. But because that first Drake was taken so late, it's not as much of an issue as now Faker caught trying to clear vision. He's going to ghost. That should get him out of the way. As now Afrika move on over. They will be able to protect their control ward. Bubble. That's going to connect onto Faker. Very nice one there from Fly as well, as the Paddle Star does do a bit of damage. as Spirit looking to try and go in, but Tongue Lash is going to mitigate that. Cuz moves on over as well. We've got Renekton in the mid lane, Callista on bot side. 4-on-4 here for the minute. As Ben's going to get that headbutt away.
This is very akin to how T1 used to win a lot of games. Even when they would fall very, very far behind, they would somehow remain passively in the game, and the opponents would just slowly bleed out their advantage to a point where the gold advantage might just not be relevant at all whatsoever. So, sure, we're still at a 6,000 gold lead right now for Afrika, but a 6,000 gold lead at 20 minutes is very different from a 6,000 gold lead at 35 minutes. And so,
Absolutely.
if T1 can just keep maintaining this, the item breakpoints and whatnot, it will begin to become favorable. A little bit of Boris coming out here on both of the sides of Afrika and T1, but not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's all right. Boris is just, he's sometimes here. When that Void Staff comes in, yeah, Cuz is just going to be so big. As Keen getting to work here on this inner turret. He might be able to get it, but does have to QSS. As Afrika do come over, they are going to secure their 5th turret of the game. 5-0 as far as that scoreline is concerned. So a lot of standing gold on the map for T1 if they're ever able to actually find anything. As Mystic can't get that Mystic shot to proc his E onto effort. Sorry, his W. As Cuz is going to get bubbled. Fly looks for it, but there's the Devour. And Effort's going to keep the Karthus alive. And this red buff is going to be stolen away. Back comes through. No, not actually.
I really feel like that Afrika is just super nervous trying to close this game out.
I mean, I would be too. I mean, you're on the verge of being able to take down T1 in a game that you were never supposed to win. This is 100% nerves. Because if they screw up and lose this game, then it's even worse.
The gold gap is remaining at the exact same value for the last couple of minutes. I would imagine that Cuz almost has that Void Staff. He's now at 2 levels over Spirit. And nothing is happening. Oblivion Orb picked up on Zoe.
That will let her kill Karthus much faster. This is an extraordinarily squishy
Atlas,
Karthus build.
If I see the Blasting and Amp Tome turn into a book on Karthus, something is going on.
Oh no, that better not happen. Now this is 100% a Void Staff. I mean, I'm not a religious man, but something definitely would have to be very wrong with how this world has been put together if that is not something that happens. It is going to be a Void Staff. Trust.
The motto of this game is that T1 stands for Turtle One, and Afrika stands for Afraid, as nothing has happened for about 13 or 14 minutes.
Yeah, Turtle One versus Anti-Fun, I think.
Okay, I mean, that one works definitely as well.
My god. Okay, Mystic is extraordinarily far ahead now. I don't remember that being the number that we saw last time around, as the Void Staff has been built, so maybe there is a god. As, Mystic continuing to clear things out, but he's very strong. 4 items now completed in comparison to the 3 that Teddy has put together. As, there's the face breaker. Showstopper comes down as well. Mystic, Arcane shifts out of the way. Canna looks for the stun. The heals do come through. Mystic, Arcane shifting, getting himself back into position. The flash forward. There's the face call. Spirit dives into the backline. Cuz has been taken down, but he does have the Death Defy passive. And at least he's able to pick up 1 onto the cow. As the dust settles, though, that is a 1 for 3, and Afrika are beelining to the Baron.
Yeah, they're going straight towards the Baron right now. Mystic just gonna take away some of the oh, okay, they're gonna split up. They're gonna have Ezreal do the dragon, and they're going to have Callista and Volibear. This is some of the most intelligent gameplay that I think that we've seen in LCK. Some teams might just, you know, they hard commit to the Baron and forego entirely the Infernal Dragon. And, I mean, Effort's going to come over. He's going to try to lick the back end of that dragon. Oh, no, he's not. He's not even going to try.
Yeah. Didn't have a Blast Cone, didn't have a Flash, so that was never going to happen. Keen's going to be able to secure this. And Afrika, they take everything. soul point now, and that's infernal soul point as well, guys. That's a big deal. So we're going to have a look at this team fight once again. And it looked like Mystic might have been caught out of position.
Well, I mean, it looks like Mystic was caught out of position. Slice and Dice goes in by Renekton, doesn't quite have enough damage. And you can see, Cuz's decision-making here was very bizarre as well. They're never going to be able to run away. And so I was so surprised that he didn't try to just go into passive sooner. As well as just be further up inside of the wave. He could then kill the incoming minion wave, get a much better passive off, give a lot more freedom to the other T1 members. And this is looking like it might be all that she wrote here, Atlas. It is about to be a 10,000 gold lead with 2 Infernal Dragons.
Oh my god, those damage stats are very, very sad. Because for all his mistakes, he has done a lot of damage, but look at Fly. He's just been having the game of his life in this one. Mystic as well, been very consistent on the Ezreal, but I just feel like Fly took control of the early to mid game so beautifully for Afrika, alongside Spirit, of course, as well. This has been utter heroism for the underdogs. We're now looking to try and push in. They should be able to take this mid inhibitor at least. The top inhibitor turret also under fire. As it's Keen that's trying to shove that one through. Facebreaker just to get that siege minion out of the way, but they lose 1 inhibitor now. And I believe that bottom wave is also pushing in for Afrika. Kinda slicing, dicing around. And we've still got a minute left on this Baron, so expect Afrika to do a lot more damage as effort. Is going to get stunned up, not going to get taken down just yet. Facebreaker onto Spirit as they do take down the turret. Faker gets the Haymaker out. Spirit is going to back off for the minute, but you can see Keen hopping through. There's the Dawning Shadow. Teddy trying to keep his team alive, but Afrika, they're just focusing on the structures and looking to slowly push forward.
Really, really close.
Oh no, Canna in trouble. There's the Requiem as they're under the Nexus turrets. Fair bit of damage as Hep Up Pulp comes through, but Ben is going to be taken down by extraordinarily low, but it looks like he will escape. No, Teddy flashes after him, but the damage has been done. Mystic is still alive and still has so much damage. Teddy well and truly dead. They've got 2 AD carries in this game, remember, as Mystic pops his QSS. He's going to be absolutely fine. The second and last Nexus turret is taken down. Mystic flashes on forward. Death Defy is not enough, and Afrika are going to perform the miracle. They'll knock T1 out in the wild card.
And Afrika, they come into tonight's match. They end up winning 2-1 in what might just actually be the biggest upset actually in the playoffs overall.
Absolutely.
They break through the barrier of not being able to beat any of the Westside teams, and they do it in their most important match, which is the wild card. T1 now, they have to run the gauntlet, which is really, really scary to try to make it back into Worlds contention, and I don't know. And this is really scary as well, because in game number 3, the draft was so set up for success, pretty much all around. And Cuz, with the early game pathing on Karthus, couldn't find anything. I genuinely have no idea what he was doing. I really don't. It is
that was one of the weirdest
Karthus
paths we've ever seen. It was definitely very, very strange.
The first 7 minutes are just something to watch. I don't know, but Afrika, Fly having the game of the split probably for him. Just
absolutely.
By far, that was his best performance. Mystic getting a heroic lucky true shot barrage, sniping the Karthus as well. Never really missing a beat, and Spirit never really blundering anything. And Afrika, they play slow, calm, and collected, and they end up taking down T1.
Absolutely beautiful stuff. It was so good that my cat decided to join us for that last game as well. I think Keen and Fly played out of their minds. I think Keen uttered dominance in the laning phase, but was intelligent with his movements, never allowed himself to be ever at risk of being taken down by Cuz, and it meant that the Renekton was absolutely kept down. We need to shout out the draft as well, because Keen being able to flex towards the Kalista on the top side of the map, really throw a spanner in the works for what T1 were expecting that game. I think it was a lot of things that worked out in tandem with one another for Afrika in that game 3. And the fact that it was the deciding match, they're against T1, the gods of the gauntlet, they're able to take them down at stage 1.
Yeah. I really am just so surprised, but also T1, something was definitely off this game. Look at Faker here, he ghosts instead of flashing, even though the bubble already resolved. Cuz here, getting sniped by the true shot barrage. Now, he could have flashed in response, but I think
he just had no idea it was even coming.
Yeah.
Neither did Afrika.
Cuz right here as well, just getting picked off on the Karthus. Watch the flash Pokeball out of Keen to save Spirit. And it's really nice to see the top lane Kalista coming back into it.
Yeah.
Right here, Cuz trying to get any damage that he could onto Mystic, not quite able to. T1 were just so far behind inside of the game. And it just leaves a bittersweet taste in your mouth watching this.
It definitely does. I don't think anyone was expecting Friday's match to be between Afrika and Gen G.
And I don't even know what that means.
Well, it means Flash to go up against his former team. That's a bit of fun.
Yeah. Gen G probably were not expecting to actually face Afrika, though. So it's probably very surprising for them. They have 2 days to readjust any sort of draft ideas or whatnot that they're going to use on that game day. And what a curveball now here in playoffs. LCK Summer 2020. I don't think anyone was expecting this.
And I wonder which other different curveballs we're going to get as we're going to listen in to Keen's perspective of this last team fight.
세트 봐도 돼, 세트 봐도 돼.
세트 높을. 에, 피 까이는 거 조심하고 먹기 빠졌다. 그냥 천천히 해. 빨리 들어가지 마. 빨리 들어가지 마. 타워.
야, 가서 봐봐. 잘 봐. 야, 타워 깰만한데? 나 궁도 돼. 이거 다이브 볼래?
야, 레드 필. 야, 레드 필.
헤드. 타워부터.
천천히.
야, 세트 들어왔다.
나 필.
살아야 돼. 세트.
나 뒷 갔다 올게.
살짝 살아야 돼. 스파게티 세트 좀 잡아.
야, 세나 노플이야. 세나 오른쪽에 노플.
세나.
잡았어. 야, 끝내자.
야, T1 잘 가. 나이스. 에이터 더블 빠졌다.
야, 타워 필.
타워부터.
나 퓨. 걸어. 스킬 있어? 형 타워.
나만 믿어.
나이스.
넥서 깨라. 나이스. 잘했다. 가버려. 잘하는 거야. 나이스. 가버려.
A lot of celebrations here for Afrika, who say goodbye to T1 in the wildcard match. It's been a very, very long time since T1 has fallen this early in a playoffs race. They are a very, very strong playoffs team. No one was expecting it. We definitely weren't. We put in our predictions for playoffs, and I think a lot of people had T1 making it much further than this. But Afrika, huge congratulations. I don't think we can take anything away from them. This was them playing above and beyond what their expectation was, and especially above and beyond their level of play that they've had over the last couple of weeks. It hasn't been an Afrika that's looked this good in the clutch, and very, very clean stuff. It is going to be Fly that picks it up. Absolutely well-deserved. His Zoe, just amazing this game. So many bubbles, and his scoreline does not give away just how strong he was.
Yeah, I mean, his bubbles were so on point. It felt like every single one was landing. It felt like he really knew exactly what he wanted to do at so many points inside of this game, and really just helped Afrika take over. Ben helped him up on a couple of occasions. And the Zoe, just a very integral part to this victory for Afrika. And Fly having series of his life, and this is how Fly can be throughout the split. He can be extremely hot or cold.
Yeah.
Pretty much no warm, no cool, no neutral. He's always at one end of the spectrum, pretty much. And tonight here in game number 3, he rolled very, very hot.
He definitely did. Mystic picked up a couple of the votes as well, but it was 7 out of 9 in favor of the Bubble Lord in Fly in the mid lane. That means Fly and Mystic were the ones to pick up the player of the games for this series for Afrika in this upset. I still I don't know, it's still washing over me, LS. I'm still trying to come to terms with the fact that T1 have been knocked out this early on. And now it's time to talk to a freaker about what their expectations are. As here is Jason for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jason with the English translation, and we'll be hearing from Fly and Mystic from Africa Freaks, taking down T1 in the wildcard series for the playoffs. How do you feel? Well, the last series is played from home, and I was so bad. So our actually team leader came to us and told me. So I'm happy that we were able to perform better today.
마스크를 쓰셔서 그런지 좀 마이크 좀 가까이에서 좀 말씀해 주시면 저희가 좀 잘 들리겠습니다.
So maybe due to the mask, it's really hard to pick up the audio here. So I'm sorry for my players. Sorry.
하시고 싶은 말씀 팬들 좀 궁금해하시니까.
Any message to fans and everything? How do you feel? Fly?
플라이 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다. 소감 한 말씀.
You just took down T1.
오늘 제가 사실은 별 생각이 없었는데.
Well, to be honest, I didn't have any specific thought in mind before going to the series.
커뮤니티 사이트를 보내줬어요.
But Spirit shared this link, and I saw that all the experts predicted that T1 was gonna win. So I was getting angry. So I was like going super, trying really hard for this game. And it feels so nice that I got this win.
그런 만큼 아니 관계자분들이 무슨
I know, right?
그런 것도 아니고
Because everyone called you the gatekeeper, and based on the stats, it would look so hard for you guys to take down T1. So how did the prep go for the series?
성준이 형이 잘만 하면 된다고 하는 약간 그런
Well, I just thought that we should just play well and perform better.
특히 1세트 드레드의 깜짝 선발.
Dread was the starting jungler for game number 1. So what was the plan in that strategy? Recently, he's been playing Screams a lot. So for us, that was not something unexpected. This was just based on what we prepared normally.
그러면은 이제 오늘 애쉬와 진이 둘 다 살아 있었는데
When Ash and Jin was both open,
뭔가 따로 픽이
you locked in Misfortune. What was the reason for that?
저는 잘 모르겠는데.
I don't know, to be honest. But our coaching staff just told me to play Misfortune for one game. I guess that was a nice call from the coaching staff. And Fly, even though, well, you did lose, we want to ask you about Aurelion Soul. And I believe you had some fantastic plan beforehand. So what was the reason or background of A-Soul coming in? So T1 locked in Twisted Fate. So we were trying to come up with a champion that can follow him and match him. So our coaching staff told me to try Aurelion Soul. But our top laner and our bottom duos were not syncing with me with the tempo, so that's why we lost. In game 3, we had Kalista picked in the early phase of the pick and ban, and you guys flexed that into the top lane. Tell us about the Kalista top pick.
사실 준비된 건 아니었고요.
That was not prepared either.
그냥 칼리스타 몰라놓고
We just picked Kalista in the earlier phase, and as the draft went by, I wanted to play Ezreal. So I said I want to play Ezreal, so Keen just play Kalista top. What did Keen say? How did he respond to that?
이거 하라까지는 아니고.
I wasn't like you have to play, but I wasn't like asking him if he can play Kalista, and he said okay. And we had a very lucky true shot barrage in a very early phase of the game, picking up a kill onto Karsus. You had no vision around him. I didn't ult to Karsus. I saw Seth got chunked by Zoe and recalling, so I just wanted to ult to the fountain. But somehow Karsus just died. Did you guys feel lucky after that lucky shot? Yeah, thanks to that, I was able to pick up the Mana Mune on my reset. Why? Were you aware of that situation?
뭐야 하면서
We were like, what was that? What was that?
일단 죽었으니까 그래도.
Well, anyway, Karsus died. So we were like, oh, Mystic, you're just damn good.
네. 그러면 플라이 선수도 사실 오늘 경기 전 지표에서
And
플라이
Fly,
선수가 2라운드 때 들어오면서 경기력
we looked at your stats in round 2 and you have improved a lot. And your teamwork with your jungler was on point, especially on Zoe. You were putting everyone to sleep. Do you kind of feel it the same way that you have been ramping up coming into the round 2? At first, I didn't know, but as time went by, yeah, the game got a lot more winnable. And yeah, I kind of realized that I was stepping up. Was there any special turning point for yourself?
그거는 제가 비방용으로 말해야 되는데.
Well, that's actually off the record. I can't really tell you guys here on air.
자, 그럼 이제 다음 상대가 젠지입니다. 자, 도장 깨기.
Your next opponent for the playoffs round 1 will be Genji.
젠지를 상대하는 각오한 말씀.
So what's your mindset going into the next stage?
네, 잘해야죠.
I have to do well. I will do my best.
플라이도.
And Fly?
그가 저희가 젠지한테 다 졌었는데.
We've lost to Genji every time so far. But as we took down Team 1, the team that we never was able to take down, I think we saw this possibility to defeat the opponents. So I hope they are alert and they have their guards up. Once again, congratulations on your win. And we'll be looking forward to your performance in the upcoming Genji series. Thank you.
Thank you very much, G-Sun, for the interview translation. Great to hear from Mystic and Fly after their surprise victory over T1. It was a 2-1. Of course, this is the wild card. It is only a best of 3. And so a lot of craziness can happen. I believe we witnessed that one today, LS. This was not what we were expecting.
I don't think anyone was expecting it whatsoever. There's a lot to be said about this series. But for Afrika, now they move on to Friday's match against Genji to keep their Cinderella story alive here inside of the playoffs, which is super insane. And I'm sure Genji are even sort of scratching their heads thinking, okay, wait, we probably weren't expecting this. And I don't know what to expect. As for T1 fans, well, T1's still in it, just in the gauntlet. The regional
they're going to be in the gauntlet. I believe
September.
they're not even going to be in the first round. They're at least going to be in the second round. It depends how far Afrika are going to make it. They might be in the first round against KT. But, you know, a Telecom War to start things off would definitely be a lot of fun. This is 100% an upset, though, so I'm looking forward to seeing what can happen as we move further in the playoffs. Like you were saying, Genji probably not preparing for Afrika, so they'll have to do some last-minute adjustments over the next 2 days as we look forward to playoffs round 1, our first best of 5 for the LCK Summer Playoffs. Genji taking on Afrika. This will be a tough ask for Afrika because Genji have looked very, very good. But that will do it for us for tonight. Upsets are plenty. Let's see whether they continue as playoffs does as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you on Friday at 5 p.m. KST for playoffs round 1. That first best of 5, Genji versus Afrika. And I was hoping that I could make that outro work, but I didn't quite. See you on Friday.
World has changed and I am ready to take it on. Told me to be myself and never feel alone. All that I want, all that I need. If I was ever in the dark, I'd see. Always believe and have faith in me. You'll always be my hero. Love you for everything you've done. You'll always be my hero. Faith in you like the rising sun. I feel so strong.
역시 젠지의 한타력.